79 years strong, your hometown team, San Luis Obispo Blues, are back for another summer at Sinsheimer. And Ryan Giacomini and I are very excited to welcome you all to a new season. Hello, everybody, and welcome inside the broadcast booth. Nate Mills alongside Ryan Giacomini, back again on the SLO Blue Streaming Network for another great summer of CCL baseball. We're getting you guys set for opening day, the Coastal Dodgers and the San Luis Obispo Blues. Ryan and I, again, very excited to be back here at Sinsheimer Stadium.
Yeah, it's going to be another fun summer. We had a blast last year. We're back. Nate's in his third year. I'm in my second year here calling the games, and we could not be more excited for some summer baseball.
Well, and hey, we're also excited not only to be your broadcasters for another season, but we got a whole new media plan going out. Our social media team is beefed up. We've got a handful of people on that front as well. Ryan Giacomini and I are also co-hosting a podcast, The Orange Row. Episodes will be out weekly. We're aiming for around every Tuesday or Wednesday to get that going. Episode 1 of that pod should be coming out on Friday. And we'll also be occasionally writing some feature stories as well that are going to be published on the San Luis Obispo Blues main website. So be sure to be on the lookout for those as well. A lot of new things, a lot of new looks for this media team on the SLO Blues, and a new look for the CCL as well. A couple of audition teams, as we like to call them. The affiliates is the official name in the CCL South mostly, but teams that auditioned last year in the North have their names solidified in the CCL North now. The Merchants, the Seagulls, and the Menlo Park Legends too.
Yeah, those two teams should add a lot of competition in the North, losing a couple teams this last year. And now you get to add those teams who had really good auditions last year, were competitive, took some games from the Blues and other top CCL teams last summer. And then, you got 3 teams down in the South, the San Diego Bombers, the San Diego Waves, and the Filipino Baseball Group that will be playing down in the South as affiliate teams. Essentially their audition to join the CCL for the 2026 summer. So again, some great competition down in the South, and then we get a couple more teams, one of which you played for back in your heyday. So a lot of great baseball to be had this summer. The Blues don't play the Waves or the Bombers, but they do have a game here at Sinsheimer in July against the Filipino Baseball Group. We're excited to see them come in and see what they got.
So it's a brand new look for the CCL this summer as they're trying to expand and recover. After a couple summers ago, the Lincoln Potters left and the Healdsburg Prune Packers left, a couple of strong names in the conferences. But the past 2 years in the CCL North, it's been the Walnut Creek Crawdads. They gave the Blues their biggest issues all year last year. Yeah,
they definitely did. They played them as the final series of the season last year, going into the playoffs. And, just a great ball club, have a lot of great players. We haven't seen a roster this year from them yet. They don't start for a couple more weeks. We're a little early here down in SLO. But we expect to see some big-name guys there who play at big Division I schools, who are getting 150 at-bats at those Division I schools and are playing really well down there. Kind of, like you mentioned, the top team other than the Blues in the North. You also have the Stompers, who were solid last year. Took a game from the Blues up in Sonoma last year, and then another one here. Split the series with them 2-2 last year. But a lot of great talent in the South last year. It's just really interesting because the CCL, there's so many players in, so many players out. You just don't know what teams are going to look like. Crawdads last year, one of the best teams in the CCL, but they could win 10 games this year if they didn't bring in a good class. Yeah. So it's just weird how the CCL works like that. But we're just excited to play baseball here in the summer.
Absolutely. And you mentioned talent, Ryan. There's a couple of names that we're very excited to see on this Blues roster this year. And I'll start with my first guy, Jake Hicksonbaugh. It's been great to see him almost grow up in my perspective. When I was here 2 years ago, it was his first season with the Blues, and he's back for his third season, looking for a new place to call home at Monterey Peninsula College. Had kind of a frustrating year there. He was hitting balls on the screws, and it just wasn't finding any real estate. You could kind of see it in the numbers, but that barrel rate was high for Jake Hicksonbaugh. He's looking to find some gaps this summer with San Luis Obispo. I'm also really intrigued to see Cade O'Hara, another name from 2 years ago on the Blues, a SoCal native who played at the University of Texas, struggled to get playing time in his time as a Longhorn, had a couple talks with his coaches. They talk about redshirting, and just 3 days before the season started, he left the team and just spent the rest of the season working out, both pitching and hitting. And we got to see the dawning of his pitching career 2 years ago when Dean Traynor put him in late in a game. They were all out of pitchers, and he came in to close. He's been riding that ever since, so expect him to pitch and hit this this season. He's starting at shortstop today, but those are two guys I'm really intrigued about this summer for the Blues.
Yeah, and two guys both in the lineup today as well, hitting 1 and 2, so we'll get to see that combo. And I wasn't here 3 years ago, or two summers ago when O'Hara was here in Hicksonball's first summer. But last year, a big issue for Hicksonball was that he didn't hit the ball that hard. Early in the year, he was doing a really good job just spraying the ball throughout, getting himself on first, stealing second, and putting himself in scoring position for the middle of the order. But he didn't hit the ball that hard. So I'm excited to see, he said he was hitting the ball in the screws. We saw some clips of that as well on social media. So I'm excited to see him hit the ball hard, find some gaps, use that speed to turn singles into doubles, doubles into triples, and then, steal bags occasionally. And then, yeah, O'Hara, that arm you mentioned, I've never seen it. I haven't seen anything from it, but I'm excited to see what he can do on both sides. And, yeah, he's hitting 2 tonight. And then the two guys I'm excited for, E.J. Royal is the first one. Coming back, the hometown kid, played here last summer, was really the centerpiece of this team. Played center field and led off almost every single game for the Blues. And this season, he's not here yet. He's still playing, finished up yesterday with Utah Tech, but we expect him to be here either maybe later this weekend or next weekend, and he's probably going to retain that center field spot. He hit a little bit over 350 last year with just under 1,000 OPS for the entire summer. So he's one guy to look forward to, and I think one thing Nate and I both saw throughout his time here last summer was that early in the summer, hitting for a lot of contact, just kind of slapping the ball around, but then middle of the season, we saw him start hitting the ball really hard. But then the strikeout numbers went up a little bit, and then towards the end of the season, he was kind of able to find a good balance where he would just slap it around, and other times when he knew he could just swing away, he would swing hard.
Absolutely. You talked about with Jake Hicksonball after coming down from the two guys I mentioned, his ability to steal bags and get on base and be a threat on the base paths, right? Well, let's take you back to last opening week, when the Blues also opened with the Coastal Dodgers. Later, the game I'm referring to was the Memorial Day Miracle against the West Coast Kings, who the Blues, again, have after the Coastal Dodgers. But it was an opening day disaster for the Blues. They came in expecting to win that one in front of a packed crowd, and they just couldn't come through against the Dodgers, a team roster-wise didn't match the Blues. And so they're trying to win the games they should, especially early on in the season. But Hicksonball certainly contributed late in that weekend, stealing second, coming around to score on a Caden Cuccio walk-off single, and he's in the lineup today as well, batting ninth, and that walk-off was against the West Coast Kings last year.
Yeah, a very exciting Memorial Day weekend. I was talking to Hicks prior to the game. He was telling me, a pretty disappointing start to last season. Kind of two teams that are kind of just throwing guys together, trying to get a ball club together, get 9 guys out there, a couple of pitchers, and then, losing opening day, and then, squeaking out a win on Memorial Day, the 4th game of the weekend. Just not ideal for the team, so they want to get out to a better start today, and then, carry the momentum today for the rest of the weekend, and then use the momentum from this weekend to when they play some better teams in the following weekends.
Absolutely. We're going to get you guys set down on the field in just a few minutes. We'll have lineups. We'll have more after the national anthem on the SLO Blues streaming network. Welcome back to San Luis Obispo, California, and Sinsheimer Stadium for the 79th season of your hometown team, San Luis Obispo Blues. We just got done with the national anthem. Now it's a good time to show you the starting lineup for each of these squads. First, we'll go with the Coastal Dodgers. Leading things off and playing third base, it's Kai Malt. Jeremy Camarena, the shortstop, batting second. Theo Anderson, the switch-hitting first baseman, bats third. Landon Mabry, the left fielder, batting fourth. Truett Ross, the right fielder, bats fifth. Liam Keithley, the designated hitter, bats sixth. Dylan Simon, the second baseman, bats seventh. Dylan Shue is the catcher, and he bats eighth. Drew Capel is playing center field and rounding it out in the 9-hole. And for your San Luis Obispo Blues, here is the defensive alignment. Andrews throwing down the signs behind home plate. Brendan Comerford, returner, playing first base. Caden Cuccia over at second base. Gavin Smith at the hot corner at third. Cade O'Hara playing shortstop. In the outfield left to right is Alves, Robb, and Hicksonbaugh. And on the mound for San Luis Obispo, Chase Viale, a local guy, a lefty, a southpaw from Cuesta Community College, making the opening day start for the Blues today.
Viale's an interesting guy because we were looking at his numbers this past season at Cuesta when he was a Cougar, and he walks a lot of batters, but he also strikes out a lot of batters, doesn't allow a lot of hits. So what that tells to me is that his stuff is unhittable, but he just has a hard time finding the strike zone. So I think the biggest thing for him today, and honestly throughout the entire season for all of the Blues pitchers, is pound the strike zone and make the hitters work for it.
Obviously, he's been going to be a point of emphasis for his summer ball career with San Luis Obispo, trying to throw as many strikes as possible. And we know that is that's the North Star in the CCL, is throwing strikes as much as possible, because it tends to be a league where hitters come out more and pitchers are sort of in and out. So if you can throw strikes consistently, you're going to be a valuable guy to any team in the CCL. Kai Malt digging in for the Coastal Dodgers for the first game of this summer. Alrighty, digging in the back of the right-handed batter's box. As Viale on the left side of the rubber delivers on the windup. First offering misses high at 6:05 p.m. First pitch here at Sinsheimer. 61 degrees and partly cloudy on the Central Coast. Here's the 1-0. Fastball missing outside. 2 balls and no strikes to Malt.
Just having an issue missing outside with those 2 fastballs to start. He has a little bit of arm side run going from a 3/4, so he just needs to start that pitch, an inch or 2 more inside to try to clip that outside corner if that's what he's trying to hit.
Here's the 2-0 to Malt. And there's a fastball in there for a strike. First called strike of the season comes on a 2-0 count to Malt. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. I'm noticing too, Ryan, Viale's got an interesting arm angle too. Kind of a funky delivery. Makes it a little difficult to pick it up. Here's a 2-1. Swing and a miss. Fastball, strike 1.
Yeah, he hides that ball for a really long time behind his back, and then it kind of just shoots out right there, that fastball, right around 87. So, he's throwing the ball hard, and when you're hiding it that long, it's going to be hard to pick up the spin on it.
Here's a 2-2 to Malt. Heater, swung on and missed, strike 3. First strikeout of the season comes off the arm of Kai Malt. Man, there's 1 down at the top of the first.
And you know what that means? That means first bottle of hot sauce given out here at the ballpark.
Bottle of Slow Heat from Bon Temps Creole Cafe, a consistent sponsor of our Blues, and we thank them for their contributions once again. So now it's Jeremy Camarena, the shortstop, with 1 gone. First pitch missing outside. That one had some juice on that one, Ryan.
Yeah. He doesn't throw the ball particularly hard, and it doesn't look 87, but that's what we're getting up here from our TrackMan system. But like you mentioned, he just hides the ball for so long that 87 probably looks like 92 just because you're not seeing it until it's already coming out of his hand.
Camarena on the 1-0. Fastball, this one softly hit to shallow center. Robb lines it up and catches it flat-footed for the second out of the inning. So you get the K, and then you get the soft contact to center field. And as long as it's in the zone, Viale can find success.
Yeah, as I just mentioned, that's, I think, going to be the biggest thing for him today. I think especially against this Dodger team that is just scrounging guys together. I think he can go deep in this game as long as he limits the amount of 2 and 3 ball strikes he gets into.
And when you're in an early part of the season, like both of these squads are, as that one's taken inside for a ball, you're kind of just trying to scrap together as many guys as possible because the Blues had their roster, one of the more prepared seasons I've ever seen for San Luis Obispo. And even then, we still had some stragglers come in who weren't listed. And it's a 2-0, misses. And 2 balls and no strikes to Theo Anderson, the switch-hitting first baseman, who bats right-handed against the lefty Viale. Awfully large frame for Anderson. That's 6'7", 200 pounds. 2-0 comes in, and it misses low and inside. 3 straight balls from Viale. Here's count for Anderson. Long pause from the windup as the wind blows from the right field foul pole to the left. Here's a 3-0. Fastball swung on and missed for strike 1.
Green light there, 3-0. A lot of faith in Anderson from Hardesty, the head coach, allowing him to swing 3-0.
You'll get that green light in summer ball often. Guys just trying to put the bat in the ball. 3-1 skips and almost hit him on the shoot tops, but either way, it's ball 4. And there's the Dodgers' first base runner of the evening. Comes in the top of the first with 2 gone. So base on balls for Theo Anderson gets things going. And now Landon Mabry, left fielder, batting cleanup today, digs in. And Mabry, a Dodger last season as well for Coastal, as his first pitch swinging and fouls it straight back over the net for strike 1. Returns again to the Central Coast, playing for Coastal. And again, finds himself on opening day against the San Luis Obispo Blues. Runner on first. Now Viale coming from the stretch for the first time. And comes home, misses downstairs. 1 ball and 1 strike to Landon Mabry, the left fielder today. Mabry, Allen Hancock College, down the road here from San Luis Obispo. A throw over to first, back in plenty of time is Anderson. Safe over there, still a runner over at first. 6'1", 185, sort of a stock baseball player build. He's a freshman for the Bulldogs this season. 1-1. Mabry pops this one up off the hands. Charging in is Robb, and he makes the grab for the 3rd out of the inning. So after allowing his first walk of the season, Viale gets out of it with a walk or a pop out, 2 pop outs, and a strikeout swing. And we head into the bottom half of the first on the SLO Blues streaming network. Bottom of the first inning at Sinsheimer Stadium, opening day in San Luis Obispo. Their 79th season in action, and Jake Hicksonbaugh will lead things off for the Blues to begin this campaign. After Hicksonbaugh, it's O'Hara, then Comerford, Jordan, Smith, Robb, Alves, Andrews, and Cuccia for the Blues. And Hicksonbaugh playing in his third straight season with San Luis Obispo. Grew up in Atascadero, played for the Greyhounds, and had cartoonish numbers his senior season. He's first pitch swinging and rolls it to the shortstop Camarena, who scoops it on a hop and throws it into first. No problem. One pitch, one out for Coastal. One gone at the top of the first, or the bottom of the first inning.
Inside out, that fastball first pitch. Just rolls it over. Didn't get a lot on it. Hit off kind of his hands, and good play by Camarena to charge it and throw it over to first. One pitch, one out. You like that as a pitcher. And Carrillo's not going to complain about Hicksonbaugh being aggressive at the dish.
And if you're Hicks, a guy who had lots of unfortunate first offering, and a fastball high and tight for ball one. And Cade starting at shortstop today, was a regular shortstop 2 seasons ago for San Luis Obispo. Didn't play for the Blues last year, but he makes his return in the blue pinstripes this year. 1-0. This one misses inside. 2 balls and no strikes to the former Texas infielder. Born and raised in Southern California, played for the Longhorns briefly. Got limited playing time, but after Dean Traynor threw Cade O'Hara in for late inning relief, he stuck with that role ever since. Then he started pitching at Texas, and that's how he found some playing time there. And this past season with the Longhorns was redshirted a few days before their opening day in the spring. Now looking for a new place to call home in the transfer portal, as the 1-2 is hit in front of third base coach Rene Regalado in foul territory. 2 balls and no strikes to Cade. O'Hara wearing number 1 this season. Different than what he wore a couple seasons ago. Rocked the number 5 back then. 2-2. And Kay leaves that one upstairs. 3 balls and 2 strikes. A full count now to O'Hara.
Comerford on deck, who had ungodly numbers at Ole. Would love a walk.
Payoff pitch is softly hit into left center, and it falls for a base hit. There's the first knock of the season. And it comes off the bat of Cade O'Hara.
O'Hara getting it done for the Blues, getting on, and like I mentioned, Comerford, who's, speaking of numbers, is wearing a new number this year. He now has an opportunity to create something here with 1 out for the Blues.
And they already have some congestion on the base path with the base hit from O'Hara. And that was a nice job of not trying to do too much and throw the barrel on it. Does the job for his team. Here's the first pitch. Comerford takes it for a strike. Slider clipping the outside corner. Looked a little off the plate to me.
Very over-the-top delivery here out of the stretch for Carrillo. And then that slider kind of has a late run to it.
Comerford late on the fastball, sends it up and out of play for strike 2. And he grimaces as he rounds behind home plate. Wants that pitch back. I'm sure that's one he saw multiple times with the Renegades at Ohlone that he just deposited over the left field fence. O'Hara at first. 1 gone in the bottom of the first inning at Sinsheimer. 0-2 count to Brendan Comerford. Here it comes. This one skipping on top of home plate. Catcher Shu can't find it, but O'Hara scampers back to the bag. No movement there. A ball and 2 strikes.
I love what O'Hara did there. He took his secondary, then once he saw the ball was in the dirt, took another step and realized that Shu was going to be able to find it and hustled back to first to make sure there was going to be no play on him over there.
Carrillo comes set, now delivers, and Comerford weakly pops this one up into shallow right. Simon, the second baseman, makes the squeeze for the second out of the inning. And I saw us on that swing there by Comerford, something that hitting coaches have sort of been teaching lately, and that's like the scissor kick. The right-handed hitter, that right leg shooting back outside of the batter's box. And it didn't work that time with the weak pop-out. So now with 2 gone, it's Don Jordan, a prolific hitter out of the University of Texas. Didn't play his first season with the Longhorns, but a lot of confidence coming to the Central Coast of California this season. First pitch. This is low. Ball, no strikes to Jordan. And Don's got his fellow Longhorn over at first base in Cade O'Hara. 6'1" frame, standing tall in the right-handed batter's box. 1-0. Jordan sends this one straight back just underneath the press box for strike 1. 1-1 to the Texas native. And we saw Jordan taking batting practice today. We were advising him that the ball doesn't really fly here at Sinsheimer. You get the fog rolling in, kind of like it is right now with the cold, wet air. It doesn't jump. He taps this one on the ground. Left side, third baseman Malt has got it. Long throw over to first, and he beat it. Don Jordan hustles out an infield base hit and keeps the bottom of the first alive.
And that's not easy to do because he put a big swing on that, chopped it, and then has to get from the right-handed batter's box down the line. And he's not a small guy, 6'1", 230. And he was able to get down that line, beat it out, and continue this inning for Gavin Smith, who is another guy in batting practice today who hit the ball really hard, and I'm excited to see what he can do in his at-bats today.
Don Jordan can sure move 230 quickly down the first base line, can he? So now a runner in scoring position in Cade O'Hara, one on first and Don Jordan. Gavin Smith, the third baseman, now up. O'Hara shuffles at the bag at second, and Smith watches the first offering at high. 1 ball and no strikes. Smith, Arizona native from Queen Creek, played at the coveted Basha High School. A lot of history there with that program. One of the many great high school programs in the state of Arizona. Now at Harvard. 1-0 hit off the hands and foul on the left side. We're talking to him in pregame as well. And you can't get more of a dramatic weather shift than Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Queen Creek, Arizona.
Now, he was talking about his first home series there, how it was in the 30s. And, going from playing in 105-degree heat for high school ball to your freshman year playing in 30-degree heat, or weather, I should say. It's not heat.
1-1. And Smith taps it in front of home plate and into the Dodgers dugout. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
A designed hit and run there as well with O'Hara and Jordan both on the move. Forced Gavin to swing and was able to get a piece of it. But I honestly think O'Hara had that bag stolen had he not swung.
And the Blues just kind of seem to be moving different just based on what we were observing in batting practice. They're already throwing down hit and run signs in the first game of the season. This is something they never have really experimented with early on. Guys were honestly missing signs this early in the season last year. Here's the 1-2. This one tagged into deep left field. Mayberry going back at the wall. It's gone! 3-run shot for Gavin Smith on opening day. The Blues are up 3-0 in the first.
I was telling you he was hitting the ball hard in warm-ups. Oh, my goodness, a home run in the first inning of the first game of the summer for Gavin Smith, and the Blues are hype.
An absolute moonshot to left field over the cargo storage against the fence. And it's funny, we were just advising players, it's not going to travel here. Smith just proved us wrong.
Wow. That was that ball was laced. I being here all last summer and seeing 36 home games here, I didn't think that ball was going to go, but it just kept moving.
That's something you don't see often, as this one's hit down the left field line as well, and it will be foul. Some electricity at Sinsheimer as the fans book it towards the beer concessions. Some Blue score, you score pricing. Trying to keep the same energy as Andrew Robb. No batting gloves. Still the same electricity. It's not something you see often. A home run hit that far at Sinsheimer. Yes, it's 335 down the left field line, but still, balls get swatted out of the sky rather frequently. Here's the 0-1 to Robb, and it's a slider in the other batter's box. Ball and a strike now to the center fielder batting sixth.
And I think I don't know how much this has to do with it, but I think last year we just saw so many times the wind blow in here at the ballpark. And on opening day, it's not blowing out. It's not helping the hitters necessarily, but it is just blowing straight out to left field. So it's not gonna push your ball back in towards the ballpark.
Rob watches this one high and tight for ball 2. Rob, a local guy as well from Templeton. Played for the Eagles. They finished with a 16-13 record this year. As the 2-1 is dribbled off his foot. He hobbles around the right-handed batter's box. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 gone, and the bases now empty following that 3-run homer from Gavin Smith.
An electric way to start the summer. 5 batters in, and Blues are up 3-0.
And speaking of home runs, Rob had 2 of his own this season, playing for the Eagles in his senior campaign. Uncommitted so far, trying to make a name for himself this summer. 2-2, softly hit to the shortstop Camarena, plays it on a big hop, and the throw over to first is in time. But not before Smith crushes a 3-run homer to put the Blues ahead 3-0. We head into the top of the 2nd inning on the SLO Blues streaming network. Five, 6, 7 due up for the Coastal Dodgers. Truett Ross leads it off for the boys in blue. As Viale comes through, and the first pitch is right down the heart of the plate for strike 1. And Ryan, we saw some early season fireworks off the bat of Gavin Smith, a 3-run homer to deep left field to put the Blues ahead 3-0.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nate, but I believe we only saw 1 home run here all last season.
Yeah.
And we have 1 in the first 5 batters this summer. I think it's going to be an electric summer. We're off to a good start at least.
1-1. Big swing and a miss on a slider, not even close to the zone. Completely guessing on that swing was Ross, a ball and 2 strikes.
And I keep mentioning how long Viale hides that ball. Maybe part of the reason he had to guess there. Can't see the spin coming off of it.
Here's the slider again down the left field line, and that will barely be fair for a base hit. Rounding first, heading into second is Ross. There will be no throw to the bag. A stand-up double for the Dodgers to begin the 2nd inning.
Their first hit of the game, and just a good 2-strike approach. Viale went back to that slider that he had Ross guessing on, but that time Ross was ready and just slapped it the other way. You know, a pitch. It was a lefty-lefty matchup, so that pitch is starting at him and then going to cut away from him. So just all he had to do was throw the barrel on it. The pitch provided the exit velo and get it down the line, and a 2-bagger to start the inning.
So now a runner at second for Liam Keithley, the designated hitter, as the fastball misses near his eyes for ball 1. Ross did a pretty mature thing, I would say, too. As a sophomore at Cabrillo College, he didn't put the same exact swing he did on that slider in the dirt. He changed it up and he punched it the other way for extra bases. It's a great adjustment on a pitch that started on a different part of the plate, too.
Yeah, it is very mature, just knowing that, in a 2-strike count, unless you get something right in the heart of the plate, you're probably not sending a hard line drive into a gap or over the fence. So he just slapped it out there and then let his legs do the rest of the work.
Here's a slider that slips out of the fingertips of Viale for ball 2. 3-0 ball game. Just saw the first hit of the day for the Coastal Dodgers. That Ross leadoff double. Wind still blowing from right field to left field. 2-1, taken for a strike. Where we've seen Viale have success with that fastball is when he hits that inner half of the zone to right-handed hitters.
Yeah, it's coming in, like we mentioned, bat 87, 88. With a little bit of arm side run, it makes it hard for those righties to pick it up and then get their barrel on it.
2-2. Fastball outside corner. Too far outside, though. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Awfully close call by the home plate umpire here on a 2-strike count. Got to pick up the bat there. And Keithley might have gotten away with a pitch. And now it's a payoff for Viale. Long pause coming from the stretch. Now kicks and deals. 3-2 almost hits him. And Keithley flips it into the on-deck circle. Back-to-back base runners for Coastal.
That's his third 2 or 3 ball count this game, and I think that's going to be his biggest key to the game is just limiting those counts. You want to be ahead as much as you can. You want to just 4 to 5 pitches per at bat maximum. Once you're getting to that 6, 7, 8 mark, that's where you're really going to start hurting yourself.
Here's the first pitch to Dylan Simon, the second baseman's taken for a strike down Broadway. Simon, a freshman at L.A. Pierce Community College, smaller frame at 5'7". Makes sense for a second baseman, I suppose. 0-1, tried to take a hack at the slider and hit it behind home plate for strike 2.
This is what you want to see, another 2-strike count. He's ahead in the count. Now he needs to waste a pitch here maybe, high fastball, throw something in the dirt, create a new tunnel for him to go to in a 1-2 count.
A peek at second base. Now the 0-2 offering is a half swing in front of the Blues dugout for strike 2 again. We'll do it once more. No balls and 2 strikes. Standing on deck, it's Dylan Shue, the catcher. He represents the tying run. Blues still looking for their first out following a double and a walk. Runners on first and second. Here's the 0-2. And this one bounces over the third base coach in front of the Dodgers dugout. Stay alive again at no balls and 2 strikes. That time, that slider didn't bite like we've normally seen. It was a big looper. And you can see Simon put the foot down and try to stop all of his momentum coming forward. Kind of put on like a 70% swing that time.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a slider and a curveball maybe out of Viale, and that might be the velocity difference. But very similar in terms of the spin and the movement.
0-2. There's a fastball misses high. Viale didn't like that one. Ball and 2 strikes. And the arsenal for Chase is a 4-seam, a 2-seam, changeup, slider, curveball. Got a fully loaded magazine. We've only seen a few of the bullets, though. Couple peeks at second. Now comes home on the 1-2. Half swing to the shortstop O'Hara. He flips it to Cuccia to second for 1. On to first in time. Double play by O'Hara and Cuccia. The runner advances to third, but there's 2 gone in the second.
It's a great turn there by the boys in blue. Cuccia had a little bit of a rough time getting it from his glove to his hand, but then he threw a laser over to Comerford at first. Comerford with a good stretch, and all of a sudden 2 on, nobody out. Now it's 2 out with just a runner on third.
So now here's Dylan Shue. He swings and misses at the first offering for strike 1. Shue, also a Brahma from L.A. Pierce Community College. Entered this summer season after a 200 average campaign at 27 games played. His fastball misses high and outside for a ball. He's throwing down the signs today for Coastal Dodgers. 5'7", 195. Donning a red Easton helmet, like his teammate Simon. 1-1. Shu scoots out of the way of a fastball inside. 2 balls and 1 strike now to Shu. First run of the day for Coastal, 90 feet away. A lot harder to get him in now with 2 gone after that 6-4-3 double play. 2-1. Shu watches that one skip in the dirt. Nice smother by Andrews behind the plate. 3 balls and 1 strike now. Shu just finished his freshman season of junior college baseball. A graduate of Mills High School.
Any relation?
No relation. Love that name. They really know what they're doing over there at Mills. It's a quality education. 3-1. This one hit right back into the netting for strike 2. Full count now to Shu. I'm sure if you were to look up the numbers, that the colleges, the alums at that place, the colleges they send their students to, must be ridiculous. 2 gone, runner at third. Blues up 3-0 in the top of the second. Dylan Shu on the payoff pitch. Fastball clanking off the glove of Andrews behind home plate. Looks like he might have gotten crossed up there. A conversation might be had, but it's ball 4 to Dylan Shu. Third walk of the day for Viale. And Ryan, we talked about filling up the strike zone for him.
Ball. So just force them to score runs. Don't give them these free passes and allow them extra opportunities.
Andrews slides to his left on the ball in the dirt for ball 1 against Drew Capel, the center fielder, batting ninth. At the bottom of the lineup now for Coastal with runners at the corners. And Capel represents the tying run in this ball game. Here's the 1-2. And he watches that one on the outer half for a strike.
So, Nate, I looked up Mills High School.
Perfect.
They have a national rating score of 97.4 out of 100.
Sorry about it.
So they are actually a top 500 ranked high school in the nation.
Weird. 1-1, Blue Streaming Network. Blues up 3-0 against the Coastal Dodgers. Man, the bottom half of the second inning is brought to you by the talented team at Studio Design Group, where visionary architects bring creativity and expertise to every stage of design, planning, and building. Whether you're starting a new project or reimagining a new space, let their collective insight work for you. Visit them at sdgarchitects.com. Studio Design Group Architects. For 40 years, they've designed buildings with one thing in mind: people. First pitch just missing below the zone to Brady Alves for ball one. Blues up 3-0 over the Coastal Dodgers on opening day at Sinsheimer Stadium. It's a beautiful night for baseball in San Luis Obispo. As the 1-0 is hit into center field, Capel calls everyone off, makes the flat-footed grab for the first out of the inning. We're seeing the fog sort of roll in early than standard. I guess this wouldn't be fog. This is more cloud coverage. Either way, a chilly night, but the fans are showing out anyway.
Yeah, I think it's just there's so much excitement in the city of SLO for Blues opening day. And so regardless of the weather, I think it could be 30 degrees and raining, and people would still be here ready to watch some baseball.
The best fans in the CCL as Cam Andrews, the catcher, watches his first offering below the zone for a ball. And two, the fans potentially mourning the Cal Poly baseball game happening right now in the first ever Big West baseball tournament. Playing against UC Irvine, consistently a top 25 ranked team this season. Cal Poly had some magic of their own too, as Andrews sends this one up and out of play on the right side with ball and a strike now.
Hey, you want to know the good thing? Poly didn't allow a single run innings 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 today.
That's great for college baseball. Like, if you can have a college baseball team that does that, because it's hard to have a good bullpen.
Issue is they gave up 15 in the first 4 innings, and they lost 15-3.
UC Irvine will do that to you. That's a team that sure knows how to swing the shillelaghs. I got a chance to watch them play against New Mexico State and Arizona to begin the year, and it was just a bloodbath. And no knock on New Mexico State, but the Anteaters are just on one these past 2 seasons. Here's Andrews in a 2-1 count from the windup. This one slowly rolled behind home plate for strike 2. Andrews is going to have an interesting summer because he's the backstop for the Gators of San Francisco State. And if you don't necessarily pay attention to college baseball or college sports for that matter, and that NIL has sort of taken over how teams operate. And with that, others have had to cut their programs. He lines this one to left center field. It falls fast, and it falls for a base hit. Cam Andrews gets things going with a single in this inning. But San Francisco State, in wake of the NIL adjustments that have had to happen around the NCAA, have decided to cut their baseball program effective next season. And for guys like Andrews, who's a redshirt sophomore, they got to find a new place to call home, even though they were playing for their teams.
Yeah, still has 2 more years of eligibility, but like you mentioned, no more program up there. And is looking for a new home. We didn't get a chance to talk to him today, but I'm sure we'll figure out where he's playing this summer.
As Kachia bounces this one in fair territory. They'll go to second for 1. Caden wasn't running it out entirely, but luckily beats the throw over to first. Kind of a wonky play. And it doesn't even look like they got Andrews over at second base. Some confusion there, it looked like. A high bouncing ball that was hugging the first base chalk, and first baseman Anderson fielded it and went over to second for 1, and they couldn't even get out Andrews.
We're still waiting on what the official ruling of that is going to be.
So we'll chalk it up as an error officially in the scorebook. Either way, there's runners on first and second for Jake Hixenbaugh, the top of the lineup for San Luis Obispo. There's a peek at second base. Now comes home, and Hicks swings right over the changeup for strike 1. So that'll be an E3 for Caden Cuccia, who was first pitch swinging that time. Now top of the order, and Hicks, a right fielder. 0-1. And a changeup once again down the heart of the plate for strike 2. Hixenbaugh having to be tough with 2 now after first pitch swinging on his first at-bat. He's swung at the first one over a changeup, and now has watched strike 2. Outfield playing shallow on the rising junior from Atascadero. 0-2. Another changeup misses outside. And Hixenbaugh able to spit on that one, a ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, just a good job to adjust, see that changeup out of the hand, and make sure it wasn't in the zone, and then as soon as he sees that it started outside of the plate, just leave it be and work his way back into this count.
2 looks at second base. Now the 1-2, and Higginbotham chops it on the ground right side. Simon's got it, backhands it over to first, and it's in time. They got Higginbotham, but 2 runners move up into scoring position as there's now 2 outs in the inning.
A productive out. Simon kind of just played it back and took it on probably an extra hop, and for that reason they weren't able to turn a double play, and honestly made it a close play over at first base with Higginbotham's speed down that line.
So now a big moment here for Cade O'Hara, who singled his first time up, the first Blues hit all season here on opening day. A softly hit liner in front of the left fielder Mayberry. It eventually came around to score on that Smith long ball. And O'Hara has a chance here to cash in a couple more runs at least. Blues already up 3-0 in the bottom of the second inning with 2 gone. First pitch to him, and he swings, towers it above the Dodgers dugout, and it will be out of play into the awning behind the orange row. And O'Hara just kind of has a different demeanor to him this season. Not that he wasn't necessarily locked in a couple summers ago, but certainly comfortable being at the University of Texas. He was excited for a long career as a Longhorn ahead of him. Can't blame him. I'd have that same mindset as well. I did when I played college baseball my first season. How'd that turn out? I jumped around everywhere. But now it just seems he's so dialed in batting practice. He had a plan. He was hitting the ball hard. Speaking with him, too, he's just committed to finding a new place to call home. Ball gets behind the catcher's shoe, racing home, and in time to score is Andrews. He hypes up the crowd as he makes it a 4-0 ball game. Heads up base running by San Luis Obispo.
Yeah, and what I love about all of that is that he was ready to go, saw that ball got between the legs of Shu, immediately took advantage of it, and then he scores. He gets up, and he's hyping up the 1,500 fans or so here at Sinsheimer here on opening day, getting them hyping excited for this game and the rest of the summer.
So now Cade with just a runner on third now with 2 gone. It's the 1-1, and O'Hara half swings and rolls it down the first baseline foul.
And you were mentioning O'Hara, who kind of has this different demeanor to him. This whole team just has a different demeanor. Everyone is excited to be here. They want to play baseball. They want to put on a good show, and they want to play good, which is, exciting to see. You were mentioning to me during while we were watching warm-ups, everyone just seems to have the jitters.
1-2. It's a nice slider, and it's taken for strike 3. Wow. Cade O'Hara goes down looking, and he strands a runner at third, but not before a heads-up base running by Cam Andrews gives the Blues their 4th run of the game. We enter the top of the third inning, 4-0 San Luis Obispo on the Slow Blues streaming network. 1-2-3 for Coastal. Kai Malt, Jeremy Camarena, and Theo Anderson with a 4-0 deficit against San Luis Obispo on opening night. First offering to Malt is swung on and missed, an elevated fastball for strike one. Malt, the third baseman, went down swinging his first time up. That was the first batter in the 79th season of San Luis Obispo. Second offering outside, a ball and a strike. The Blues again in the CCL North. And they're counting their lucky stars they're not in the South, because on top of the good talent that's already there, they're adding some good affiliate teams as well. And the path is clear. San Luis Obispo proved that last summer. Just couldn't quite come through in the postseason against Walnut Creek. 1-2 almost hits Malt inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the championship game for the CCL was played up at Montecito High School, or Monte Vista High School, in Walnut Creek last year. It'll now come to the South this year. Here's a 2-2. And looked like it hit Malt. Hoping umpire says no. If I'm Malt, I'm trying to sell that as much as possible.
Yeah, he kind of looked at the umpire like, did it hit me? I don't know.
Yeah.
You got to just start stripping off the protective pieces, drop the bat, start jogging over to first.
And that comes with experience for the high school senior as he hits this one hard down the third base line and foul. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Kai Malt, Santa Barbara High School graduate and UC Davis commit. A stud two-way athlete at Santa Barbara High School. Will just play baseball for the Aggies, though. 3-2. And Malt watches that one outside for ball 4. Looked awfully close to me for strike 3. But it's another base on balls from Viale, his 4th walk of the evening. Awards Malt first base.
4 walks through 10 batters is not something you want to see out of your starter. He just needs to find the strike zone. They have not hit the ball hard at all. Their only hit was an extra base hit, but it was probably like in the 70s for exit velo. It was kind of just slapped out there.
Here's the first pitch to Camarena. It bounces in the dirt. Andrew smothers it and keeps the runner at first base. A ball and no strikes. And you're right, Ryan. That single or that double down the third base line was nothing to turn your head at quickly in terms of exit velocity. And you've kind of already seen the nice double play that was turned by O'Hara and Cuchilla. You got a good defense behind you. Make him work. 1-0. Runner takes off towards second base. Here's a throw from the knees. A tough tag for Cuchilla. Can't get it off in time. There's a stolen bag for Kai Malt. Got a nice jump. Accelerated well. Andrews with a nice throw. And you got to think if it was a little more towards the right of the bag, if there'd be a better chance.
Yeah, it was also just a little interesting that Cuchilla was covering the bag there, but he wasn't there in time, so then he had to catch it and pivot like he was playing basketball and try to put the tag on.
Still trying to get the comms down. These guys are just getting used to each other in summer ball. 1-1 missing outside, 2 balls and a strike. And that's kind of the funny culture about summer balls. You kind of have it through high school with travel ball where you kind of just assemble guys for one weekend and just say, here, have chemistry and play well. That's kind of the same for travel ball or for summer ball as well. And peak at second. Now kicks and deals at home. And 1-1 is sent right back into the netting. Or 2-1. Evens it up at 2 balls and 2 strikes now to Camarena.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a misconception with baseball that, it's 9 players and you're playing on a team, but it's a very individualized game because you go up there and you have your at-bat and then your teammate has theirs. But there's still so much chemistry that is involved with the team, feeding off each other's energy, being able to turn those double play balls, little things like caught stealings.
2-2, softly hit in the air to right, and Hixenbaugh's got it. Throws a BB over to third. It's cut off by O'Hara. There's the first out of the inning, a weak fly ball to Hixenbaugh in right field. And Ryan, that's what was so special about last year's team for San Luis Obispo, was that chemistry. It was so important coming down the stretch, too. It helped them catch some fire heading into the postseason. And as a matter of fact, their chemistry was so good. A couple of guys had a group chat, and they said, we're going to come back to San Luis Obispo and make a statement. Here's the first pitch. The big-bodied Theo Anderson misses low and inside for ball 1.
Yeah, that's pretty special when a group of guys enjoy playing on especially a summer team so much that they decide to band together and come back for another summer. And we're seeing a couple of those guys, Hicks and Comerford, who are in the lineup today, E.J. Royal, Jackson Howell, who's here, Hunter Hammond, Goff, and Button from last year, both catchers.
Gavin Constantine coming back too.
Yeah. Sebastian Lopez. The list goes on and on. There's so many guys that just enjoyed playing here so much and are going to come back, and they want to put on another good show this summer. They had a good season last year. Looking to do it again and make a deep run in the playoffs. And
I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen Lopez, or we're not seeing Lopez on opening day. A kid who grew up in the 805 has since moved to Las Vegas, plays for the Seattle Redhawks up north, but hasn't returned to SLO yet. Matter of fact, Brendan Comerford, who's from the East Bay, was here almost before anyone. He was very eager to come back to San Luis Obispo, and can't blame him. Here's the 2-0 to Theo Anderson with a runner on second. Skipping in the dirt. Nice smother by Andrews, who just had an extended talk with his lefty Viale. Viale and Andrews in the same grade, just trying to get on the same page. 3 balls and no strikes to Anderson, who swung 3-0 last time he was in that count. He swings again, and it's the same result, right into the mid of Andrews for strike 1.
3-0 both times. He's just loading up, big leg kick, and swing as hard as he can. See if he can lift something up and out of here. And he's missed it both times.
Well, when we saw the home run just a little earlier, it's got to think he has the courage to do that. And that one missing another batter's box for ball 4. So another base on balls for Viale. No one's getting hot in that bullpen for San Luis Obispo, but certainly the balls have been problematic here.
Now, he hasn't allowed a run yet, but he's up over. He's at his 56th pitch. This next one will be 57 and 2 1/3. You know, I mean, even if you let him throw 80 pitches, he's at this rate he's only going maybe another inning, 2 maybe if you're lucky.
And we do have some motion. It looks like a right-hander's messing around with a baseball over there in the Blues bullpen. As the first pitch to Landon Mabry misses downstairs for ball 1. It's kind of a dance you have to have in summer ball, is dealing with pitchers' arms. And that's why it's so hard to see pitchers that are successful in summer leagues, because you're trying to limit the pitch count, you're trying to prevent injury, but you're also trying to put up good numbers too. This one rolled down the third base line, foul. And we've kind of seen that on other teams, and honestly with the Blues, where guys were maybe mishandled and they've had arm injuries. But it's so hard if you're a Dean trainer, because you're so used to winning games, you're in competitor mode, but then you have to remember sometimes these guys need to be healthy going back to campus in the fall. Runner on first and second. Here's the 1-1. Off-speed pitch, hits off the shin guard of Andrews. It kicks away. Rounding third and coming home is Malt. There will be a throw. Is it in time? No, it's not. Malt goes second to home off the pass ball from Andrews. And Anderson advances to third. There's the first run of the night for the Coastal Dodgers. Not much you can really do there if you're Andrews. You did all the right things and it just hit the wrong part of the shin pad, kicked away pretty far off the body, and he just had to race to that ball. It was just a foot race to see who can get there first, and you know, Malt's going to win that every time with the distance that ball kicked off of Andrews.
But right there we see the consequences of throwing balls. 2 guys that walk, 1 score on another ball that's in the dirt.
This one hit high in the air to left center field. Alves, who was playing in, has to race back, and it's off the base of the wall. Coming in to score easily is Anderson, and standing at second base with a double is Mabry. 1-run extra base hit for the Dodgers, and they cut the lead in half, 4-2 San Luis Obispo. Looks like it just kind of caught a jet stream blowing out to left center field, because this one looked like a pretty catchable ball. Didn't help that Brady Alves, the left fielder, was playing so shallow. He had a long ways to run, but it just kind of hung up there.
Yeah, and you know that we mentioned a couple times now, that wind is just blowing out from right field foul pole to left field foul pole, and maybe in that left field gap, it's kind of just carrying it a little bit as well.
Both of the walks in this inning have scored. It's 4-2 San Luis Obispo, just 1 out in the inning. And Truett Ross looks at the offering low and outside. And Ross, the right fielder, had one of the 2 hits this game. Both hits have been doubles for the Coastal Dodgers, and Ross is one of them. Led off the second inning with one, as the changeup was attempted to be framed by Andrews. Doesn't get the call. 2 balls and no strikes. Ross from Cabrillo Community College, entering his sophomore season. 2-0 skips in front of home plate. Andrews does a nice job keeping it in front. 3-0. It's been really difficult to find the strike zone as a righty continues to get hot in that Blues bullpen. And a flock of navy blue hoodies surrounding him as well. Talked to Jake Hickson-Bob before the game. That's what he's liked about this roster construction, is the amount of arms available at Trainer's disposal. As a 3-0 is taken on the inside for a strike.
Only thrown 4 strikes the last 3 batters. So that's a big one there. Even though it's just a get-me-over fastball and a 3-0 count, that might produce him a little bit of confidence.
3-1 looks like the same pitch, and it's taken for strike 2. So now Truett Ross, once in a 3-0 count, now having to be tough with 2, a runner on second. Ross represents the tying run. 3-2. Chopper to the second baseman, Cuchilla. Fields it on the backhand, throws it across his body to first in time for the second out of the inning, but the runner, Mabry, advances to third. 4-3 put out for Truett Ross. 2 gone now for Liam Keithley. And Keithley, the designated hitter, walked the last time he was up and was forced out on the 6-4-3 double play in the second inning. Keithley, a freshman at Cal Lutheran University, home of the Conejo Oaks. Swings and misses at the first pitch for strike 1. Infielder at 5'9", 165 pounds. Will play for the Kingsmen this next fall. 0-1. Front of home plate, and Andrews has put on a pretty spectacular show in terms of defense so far tonight.
Yeah, he had that one where they scored on the wild pitch, but right away, right after that, he has a beautiful block to prevent an extra 90 feet, and then that one, too, that would have prevented a run. So you can lose a lot of confidence as a catcher when you don't block a ball in front of you.
Foul tipped into the mid of Andrews for strike 2.
So it's big for him that he's been able to get these last 2 pitches in the dirt straight down in front of him and keep the runner where he is.
Shadows cascading over the southpaw Viale on the 1-2 count. Runner at third base to Keithley. Fastball missing high. Liam doesn't offer. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Andy Carrillo getting ample rest time in that Dodgers dugout. In a 2-run third inning. And a looping curveball bounces on top of home plate. And Keithley didn't go around. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And at this point for Viale, just whatever you're most confident in, your best stuff. And for me, I think he's been able to locate the changeup well. Wouldn't be surprised if he went back to it here. Here's the payoff. Fastball taken, strike 3. Delayed call from the home plate umpire, but it's the second K of the night for Chase Viale. It strands a runner at third. 4-2 San Luis Obispo heading to the bottom half of the third inning on the Slow Blues streaming network. Following a 2-run top half of the third inning by the Coastal Dodgers, it's now the Blues' turn. Middle of the order due up. Brendan Comerford, Don Jordan, and Gavin Smith, some of the team's biggest boppers, Obispo, in a time where they need it most. The inning or the lead is now cut in half for San Luis Obispo as Carrillo heads back out there for the Dodgers, and Comerford watches the first pitch low and outside for a ball. Brendan in the first inning popped out to second base for the second out of the inning, following a Kate O'Hara single. From the windup, here's the 1-0, and Comerford gets plunked in the elbow. No amount of rolling out of the batter's box could prevent him from getting hit by that pitch, and he's awarded the free pass to begin the third inning.
Right on the Evo shield on his left elbow. There's an off-speed pitch that got away from him and gives Don a chance here with a runner on and nobody out. And like we mentioned the first time he came out, this guy can hit the ball hard. He can hit the ball in the gaps. He can hit the ball over the wall. And I'm honestly really excited to see what he can do this entire summer.
Talked with manager Dean Traynor in batting practice about Jordan while he was in the bubble, hitting some line drives in warm-ups. And we asked Dean, Can Don hit the ball hard? You're batting him, fourth, and he's coming off his true freshman season. Dean looks at us. He raises his eyebrows. Oh, yeah, I think so.
Sure. He mentioned in practice yesterday, he said, you should have seen him yesterday.
Yep.
And then you asked him, he's sending him out, and Dean didn't even say anything. It was just like a visceral reaction, like, oh, yeah. He was hitting every pitch out.
He's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Almost. The power is certainly something exciting for the Blues. We've already seen it from Gavin Smith today, and if Jordan can get clicking, that could be special.
Especially once, E.J. Royal gets here and he's going to be leading off for this team. If he has another summer like he did last year, you're going to have him on base half the time you're up at the plate.
1-0 to Jordan as Comerford takes off a high bouncing ball, and it's foul off the barrel. And Comerford got a real nice jump on that. Been working on his speed, huh?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, yeah.
Hey, I chirped him last summer, and I think he might be proving me wrong here in terms of speed. And Jordan had some speed as well. We talked about his 6'1", 230 frame. He can lug that weight around rather quickly. We saw him beat out that infield single in the first inning. Crazy athleticism. No question as to how he ended up at Texas.
Comerford did have 6 steals last summer with the Blues.
1-1. Nice pick behind the plate from Shu. Keeps Comerford at first base.
He can run a little bit. Every once in a while the trailer gets unhooked and he gets around the bases.
We talked about the big boppers of now Gavin Smith and Jordan as he spoils this one away. Foul, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Comerford's one of those guys too.
Yeah.
We talked about his cartoonish season last year at Ohlone College with his 700 slugging, 712 to be exact. It's good enough to earn him a spot in the second team South Coast Conference honor and a Division I spot at Gonzaga. So congrats to Comerford as well. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jordan as Comerford takes off again. Ball kicks away off the foot of Shu. And Brendan looked for more, but he'll hold up at the bag there. Now a runner in scoring position at a full count.
Now a very interesting situation for Carrillo. He is Don Jordan. I don't know how much he knows about Don and how hard he can hit the ball, but he has a base open, so he could just not throw him something here, throw him an off-speed pitch, try to get Don to chase, and if it's a ball, you use that free base.
3-2, and Jordan hits it high in the air to left field, giving chases Mabry, and this one will land foul, but a long strike.
Yeah, maybe 20 feet to the right, and we're looking at our second home run of the day.
Certainly got a hold of that one. Definitely don't want to throw him that pitch again. And it's an interesting point you made of giving a Don first base there, because then you have Smith right after him.
Yeah, but I think after seeing that, Carrillo might give him first base.
Yeah.
And that ball was probably hit 370.
Payoff pitch to Jordan. Off speed, missing inside, and there's a walk to the Texas Longhorn. So a hit by pitch, and now a base on balls. Slowly falling apart here for Coastal as the Blues tack on a couple base runners in the bottom half of the third. So now it's Gavin Smith, who, if you recall, launched one into left field. The first home run of the summer for San Luis Obispo. Runners on first and second now to the third baseman, Smith. Fresh off a plane from Cambridge, Massachusetts, on the central coast of California. He squares this one into center. Capel had a tough read, an awkward slide, but he makes the grab. Could have been a knuckler off the barrel of Gavin Smith, but either way, hit really hard to the center fielder, Capel.
Didn't quite get all of that one, but first pitch swinging. Got a fastball he liked, 89 miles an hour, kind of cued, and I think there was definitely a little bit of knuckle to it because the way the ball sounded off the bat, it kind of sounded like it came off the end of the bat, which is when you're going to see a lot of knuckle.
So here's Andrew Robb now, runners on first and second. BG-less. Eagle from Templeton High School, where Rene Regalado used to coach. Now he coaches for the Tigers at SLO High with Dean Traynor. First pitch, missing inside, a ball, no strikes to Robb. SLO Tigers, a bitter taste in their mouth to end their season, being eliminated by Arroyo Grande High School in the postseason. Got a couple of SLO Tigers on the bench tonight for San Luis Obispo. Chris Johnson's here. Jordan tried to slide back to first, feet first, and he topples over the bag, a big grin to the dugout. Looked like that hurt.
Definitely was not comfortable, that's for sure.
No. So now 2 gone, 2 straight outs after the hit by pitch and the walk. Runner still on first and second. Gives way to Brady Alves, the left fielder, who had a tough play out in left field the last half inning, where the Dodgers put up 2 runs. Still a 4-2 ball game. SLO leads in the home half of the third. Shadows cascading over Sinsheimer as Comerford shuffles on second base. Here's the first pitch. A slider missing low and outside. Shu tried to frame that one back in the zone. Not successful. Ball, no strike.
I don't blame Shu. That pitch I don't think missed a ton low, but a little bit outside and got a very wide strike zone, especially to righties so far in this game.
Right-handed hitting Alves. Just misses this one as he skies it in front of the Blues dugout. And a nice grab by a fan in the orange row. Strike one, though. 1-1 with 2 gone. Alves, a native from Fallon, Nevada. Graduate of Churchill County High School and entering his sophomore season at Butte Community College. Another JUCO bandit on this team that's just looking for an opportunity. Pick over to second, and Comerford rolls on top of the bag safely.
A lot of JUCO guys, especially early in the season, and those are usually some of the best players. You got to want guys in the summer ball who are playing for a purpose. Sometimes we'll get these Division I guys who already have 150 at-bats at their D1 school, and they're just kind of playing to make sure they stay in shape. And, they're still – it's not that they're not trying, but, they just have less of a purpose, where you have these JUCO bandits. Second year at Butte Community College, next spring is going to be his last opportunity, really, except for maybe summer ball again, to get scouted by a team, a Division I, Division II, Division III team, and find himself a new home. So he wants to show out and refine his skills here this summer.
2-1 from the stretch. This one popped up again on the right side on the on-deck circle, and once again just foul and out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 gone. Next thing, too, Andrews signaling that ball is out. Was trying to deke the catcher's shoe that time. didn't bite. No one getting hot in that Blues pen anymore. Got to wonder if either an arm is ready or they're feeling comfortable with Viale. I would guess the former. Dodgers had an arm going too. Now their pen is empty. 4-2 game. Blues lead. Bottom half of the third. Runners on first and second. 2-2. Both runners take off. It's on the ground left side. Off the bag. And it'll be foul. Delayed call from the home plate umpire. And Regalado was ready to send Comerford home in a hurry. It's a tough call there. 50-50 whether that ball was fair or not. If it was, could have been a nice cushion for the Blues. We talked about opportunities at the next level. This would be a good time to show that you can cash in some runs when needed. 2-2 pitch. Half swing. They say he did not go around. A nice holdup from Alves. 3 balls and 2 strikes. That's just a nice job on a changeup that started on the lower half of the zone and just ducked below. Shoe keeping it in front.
There's a big pitch here. You know, the Dodgers were able to cut the lead in half in the top half of the inning. But a base hit now will score Comerford with him going in the full count with 2 outs. Could give the Blues some more cushion.
3-2. Both runners go, and it's taken for ball 4. 2-out walk loads the bases for Cam Andrews, who singled in the second inning. The coach is conversating in that Dodgers dugout, and it looks like an assistant coach heading out there now to talk to his righty. And a good learning moment here for Carrillo, who is a high school senior, getting thrown in moments where he's having to pitch against Division I talent. You got a Gonzaga Bulldog, a Texas Longhorn that you had to go up against, and just in this inning alone. So just kind of a moment to kind of flush it, hit reset, get one more out. You got 2 in this inning. Just a simple ground ball will do. A theme for Carrillo hasn't been the strikeouts tonight. He just has 1 on a Kate O'Hara strikeout looking, and that call was rather questionable at about two balls outside the zone. But either way, just 1 K on the evening. Something to build off of, though, if you're a Carrillo, is that you're living in the zone. You only have 1 walk tonight. You did have the hit by pitch against Comerford. That was just in this inning. The first 2, you were living in the zone for the most part. You were not afraid to go in on those hitters. It bit you a couple times with that Smith homer. I'd build off that confidence as to how Carrillo's been pitching. So bases juiced for Cam Andrews as he sends the first pitch back into the screen for strike 1. Andrews is a Kines major at San Francisco State, but not for long. As we said before, that baseball program went under. Now he's looking for a new university to transfer to. Carrillo comes set with the bases full. 0-1. And Andrews is late on this one, sends it up and out of the stadium for strike 2. Standing on deck, it's Caden Cuccia, a walk-off hero from last season on Memorial Day. Andrews drove in 6 runs last season with San Francisco State, 4 the year prior. 11 hits, 2 of them for extra bases, a double and a homer. 0-2. Spoils this one high and on the right side in foul territory. Nice chase from Ross, but it's at the fence. He won't make the grab. No balls and 2 strikes to Andrews. And I feel like SF State, it's hard to hit home runs there. Not only are you in the heart of San Francisco with that thick fog and the thick coastal air and the tough breeze. You're by the Sunset District, so you're close to the Pacific Ocean. It's also a huge, huge field. They call it the Swamp. Or used to, at least. Wind still blowing from right foul pole to left on the 0-2. And Andrews hits it in the air on the right side. Ross puts his feet underneath him and makes the grab to retire the side. Blues, for the first time this game, don't score a run in the inning. It's 4-2 San Luis Obispo heading into the middle third of this ball game on the SLO Blues streaming network.
Welcome back, top of the fourth here. It'll be bottom of the order for the Dodgers. Simon, Shu, and Capel, as we have a new pitcher. It's Mark Byram from Questa, a 5'8", 165-pound righty. 19 innings this season, a little over a 7 ERA. Wearing the number 40, as the count is 2-0 to Dylan Simon. Back-to-back Dylans to lead off the inning here. Simon followed by Shu. As 2-0 is swung on and missed.
I like here from Byram is how quickly he's working. You can see it's a different pace that we saw from Viale to start this game. It's kind of throwing the hitters off already.
Count evens up at 2-2. Yeah, it is a much quicker pace. College just adopted the pitch clock that the MLB had 2 years ago, as that one is lined into center field and is going to drop in front of Rob for a leadoff hit here in the fourth. Yeah, college baseball adopted the pitch clock, just like the MLB did, but we don't have it yet in the CCL. So these games take a little bit longer than, your normal baseball game, just because, the pitchers can take as much time as they'd like up there on the mound, and the hitters can take as much time before they get in the box. But wasting no time is Byram.
And already an hour and 20 minutes to get through this first third of the game, Ryan, here at Sinsheimer. That pitch clock might need to come soon.
That one is chopped to third. Smith is going to try to go around the horn. Cuccia throw to first, not in time. But they do get the out at second. So a fielder's choice for Dylan Shu, as Dylan Simon is out at second.
It took a little time for Smith to get that throw over to second base. I think he had some trouble getting the grip on the baseball. His hand was inside of his glove for quite a while, and Was able to get the throw over to the second, but turning it over to first was not in time.
Also just a big hopper that made it hard for him to, really make any play, or really made it hard for Cuccia to have any play at first, and that one is fouled straight back. I got it!
No, you don't.
A little short.
We've had a couple moments in the past season where the foul ball would come back in here. There's a couple times, right?
Yeah, I think we had 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember it was that throwback to first, finds its way into right field, and Hixenbaugh will throw it in, and that one misses the mark at second base, but no advance further from Dylan Shue, but he will get over to second on an E2.
Yeah, just a snowball fight there. Andrews just trying to laser that one down to Comerford. I think the grip got away from him. But a nice job by Hixenbaugh backing that one up. He already had his feet planted and booking it towards first base. He wasn't caught off guard at all. He made the throw over to second, offline, granted, but still.
The ace is free, 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out with 1 runner on. The off-speed pitch is called a ball. He stayed a little too high up, and Capel gets ahead in the count, 2-1. Listed as a pitcher on their roster. He's a freshman last season at Cuesta. As the 2-1 misses, 3-1.
And again, you're seeing how important the strike throwing is for San Luis Obispo and really any team. It's tough to get ahead. 3-1 now against Capel.
That one misses in the dirt. Another base runner here for the Dodgers as they turn it over to Kai Molt in the top of the order.
Yeah, you already got an error in this inning from Andrews behind the dish. You got the fielder's choice and now a walk. Some congestion on the base paths. You're just coming off in an inning where you didn't score any runs. You're only up by 2 against the Coastal Dodgers. Defense really got to lock in here, but it all starts with how Byram throws strikes.
Byram's first pitch to Malton. Malt looked like he was in the matrix there, avoiding that one up by his head. 1-0. That one is swung on, fouled straight back into the netting to even up the count at 1-1.
Yeah, signaling to the dugout is Kai Malt, showing him it's the changeup that time. That's your job as a leadoff man, to educate your fellow teammates in the dugout, know what pitch is coming, especially with the new guy and Mark Byram coming into this game.
Shue on second, Capel on first. Here's the 1-1. Misses low, 2-1.
Andrews has just done a great job behind the dish tonight. I know I've already mentioned it, but the defense by the catcher tonight has been outstanding. And I wonder how many bases would have been given up if more pass balls would have gotten by.
Especially with how big the backstop here is at Sinsheimer's. That one is popped up into shallow left field. O'Hara still moving, makes the grab. About 20 feet into the outfield grass, right on the foul line for the second out of the inning.
And that's a really tough play for Cade O'Hara. He had to travel a long ways to get about halfway down the left field line in left field. And if I'm Alves right there, you got to call off O'Hara.
Yeah.
It seemed like O'Hara was a lot more assertive that time, but it's not a play that he should be making. That's just too complicated of a play for a shortstop like O'Hara to make. It's got to be Alves making it, but luckily you got a skilled guy like Cade over there at short.
It looks like we're going to have a pinch hitter. Mason Trigo comes in for Theo Anderson, who has a pair of walks today. Or finished the day with a pair of walks, I should say, as the first pitch to him misses up. 1-0.
Another high school senior on this Coastal Dodger team. It's a young roster, but again, we're still waiting for some guys to finish their college seasons. Get a lot of high schoolers early on.
excuse me, it's actually pinch hitting for Camarena as he grounds that one to short. Close play at second, but the out will be made, and the half inning is over. To the bottom of the fourth we go. The Blues still lead it 4-2.
Six. Oops, no, 5 outs.
Welcome back here at the ballpark. It's opening day, a 4-game slate here to start the season for the Blues. 2 games. Two games against the Dodgers today and tomorrow, and then 2 games against the West Coast Kings on Sunday and then Monday, Memorial Day. Both the games against the Dodgers starting at 6, and then the Sunday game at 4, and the Monday game at 2 o'clock. You can get your tickets at bluesbaseball.com. If you are interested in coming to a game, it's a good weekend to get out here and see some baseball. First pitch to Cuccia, misses low. He'll be followed by Hicksonbaugh and O'Hara. Those are the 3 due up. One-0 misses up and away. 2-0.
Cuccia looking to hit something hard here. Last time he was up, it was a slow roller to the first baseman, Anderson. Ended up being an E3 in the scorebook. But Caden was first pitch swinging. He was ready to attack whatever pitch was coming after him, and now he's in a hitter's count, 2-0.
Looks at that one for a called strike.
And if you're a left-handed batter like Cuccia and you find yourself in a 2-0 count, a pitch outer half of the zone, you want to work on punching it the opposite way. I know it's not something you love, but you're in summer ball. This is where you work on this stuff.
Oof. That fastball, a little bit of arm side run, called strike.
Yeah, that's just a tough break for Caden Cuccia there. A pitch that looked like a ball and a half outside of the zone. Now finds himself in a 2-strike count, having a fight.
Off-speed pitch is hit high in the air, but not deep out to right field. Ross will continue to move to his right and make the grab for the first out. An F9 to start the inning. As I remind you that this half inning is brought to you by Educational Employees Credit Union, where smarter banking meets exceptional service. Proudly serving Central California, EECU has a convenient Paso Robles branch. Visit them online at myecu.org to learn more. EECU, experience banking the smart way. We should also note there is a new pitcher for the Dodgers as Lucas Ginder takes over on the rubber, and the first pitch is a 66-mile-an-hour curveball to Jake Hicksonball for a called strike.
66, that thing's floating in there. You got a wait, watch, whack on that offering.
Now brings the fastball, and that one misses up. 1-1.
New challenge for these Blues hitters here, because looks like that thing's a cement mixer on the upper half of the zone. I want to try to hit it out of here, but at least deposit it in some corner part of the outfield.
As the pitch there misses up, 2-1. Ginder, redshirt freshman from Allen Hancock, sitting at 6 foot 180. Redshirted his first year this last spring, so no stats from him there, but in high school, as that one is swung on and fouled back. 2-2. In high school, over at Dos Pueblos High School in Goleta, he had a 3.46 ERA and 62 2/3 with 42 strikeouts. Recorded 7 wins his senior season. To Hicksonball, swung on a miss, strike 3. Hicksonball goes down on strikes on a 75-mile-an-hour changeup.
And Ginder just came through with the combio, pulled the string on the old lefty Hicksonball, right on left changeup. That's the second strikeout of the night for Blues hitters, and you gotta love that. Only keeping it down to 2 Ks. I know you don't want to celebrate a strikeout ever, but for a team that has struggled with the Ks in the past 2 summers, to only get 2 tonight is pretty big.
And it's got to be tough because Correa wasn't throwing hard, but now you have a softer throwing guy, as there's another one of those big looping curveballs. Another called strike. But it got to be tough. Now you got somebody throwing 66. You got him throwing a 72-mile-an-hour changeup, probably fastball in the low 80s. He has a pretty good, although it's not very fast, as that one misses away. 1-1. It's a good variety of speed that makes it just really difficult to hit unless you can see that speed differential, out of the hand bees. You got to get that stride and load down and then keep that weight back if you want to create any power in the ball when you get that 72-mile-an-hour changeup or that slow cement mixing curveball. That one is squibbed, knuckling on the ground, but a 4-3 putout will do it for the bottom half of the 4 innings. 4th inning, no runs, no hits, nobody's left as we head to the top of the 5th. For Nate Mills, I'm Ryan Giacomini here on the Slow Blues Streaming Network. Blues lead at 4-2 as we start the top of the fifth here on opening night. As fans scamper their way around the ballpark and enjoy some lovely baseball here on the Central Coast. As Byram is back out there for his second inning of work, and his first pitch to Anderson is a called strike. Swing and a miss for strike two, and very quickly Anderson falls behind to Byram, who gave up a hit, but no runs across for the Dodgers in his first inning of work. As that one, this is outside, not by much, especially with the width of the zone we have seen today, especially on the outer half.
It's been tough to gauge what is going to be a strike and what isn't going to be. For a guy like Anderson, he's got long weathers. I'd swing at that like right there. Yeah. I mean, he's at 6'7". He's got pretty long arms. He can get the barrel out, even probably to the other batter's box. And he had the right idea that time. A pitch that was on the outer half, probably 2.5 balls out. Had to put a swing on it. That's just unfortunately the scenario right now for these hitters.
Yeah. That pitch also misses outside, but again, a pitch that very well could have been called a strike. It probably was 2 balls outside, but we've seen pitches, a ball and a half, even 2 balls, 3 balls outside that have been called strikes. Kind of an interesting build for Anderson. He's 6'7" with those long arms as he swings and misses on the off speed for the first strikeout of the day for Byram. To continue what I was saying, as Anderson talks to Mayberry. He's 6'7". He's playing first base today, but he's a switch hitter. You usually don't see a ton of switch hitters with that size. And he's heading over to St. Mary's.
And that's where Brendan Comerford was initially committed to play. He was actually there for his first semester and redshirt.
That one is slapped into center field, and a base hit for Mayberry, his second of the day after he had a RBI double back in the third. And 1 on and 1 out for the Dodgers.
And Mayberry seeing it really well. If I jog your memory back to that double, that thing was towered into left center field. Not a lot of times you see balls one hop the wall, but he hit that one about 380, probably out at a lot of ballparks in the CCL. A little unlucky there, but either way, double and a single, having a good day so far.
That one is hit on the ground and through the right side for a base hit. Hixenbaugh has a hard time picking it up, but no advance from Mayberry. Back-to-back hits on back-to-back pitches for the Dodgers, and now they have a runner in scoring position with just 1 out.
And luckily for Hixenbaugh, the grass out in right field is rather thick, so if you clank a ball off the leather out there, it's not going to roll too far away from you. So no damage done in terms of allowing an extra 90 to the base runners. But the only damage being allowed is the fastballs being left way over the plate. Mayberry and Ross have both had their ways in back-to-back pitches. But I will say, you'd rather have this issue than being unable to find the strike zone. At least you're giving yourself a chance.
Absolutely. As Carter Kimball, a pinch hitter, will step in place of Keithley. Keithley 0 for 1 on the day with a strikeout and a walk, and his day is over as the designated hitter. And Kimball, who is a high school senior at Ventura High School, will step in. And I'm actually starting to think this isn't Carter Kimball because it's listed him as a righty on their roster, but he is batting from the left side. There aren't many lefties on this team. If it's a hitter, it would have to be Charlie Potter. As that one is swung on and fouled back.
The confusion here is that Carter Kimball is listed as wearing the number 16, and that's who is at the dish. But we're seeing a left-handed hitter right now. It's opening day for everyone.
Yep. Does not change the fact that there are 2 runners on and 1 out, and Byram has to work out of a little bit of a jam here with the go-ahead run standing in the left-handed batter's box as that off-speed pitch tried to frisbee back into the zone. It looks like maybe the roster that we were given is wrong about his handiness, because according to a Twitter page of him, with some videos of him, he is batting from the left side. So here's another off-speed pitch. That one misses. Count goes to 3-1. You do not want to walk the tying run into scoring position. I would expect something very hittable here, so we could see some action from the two runners out there on the bases. As that one is fouled back and the count runs full.
Man, he was ready to unload on that one. This was a cookie-cut fastball down Broadway. Just got a little too froggy that time. A huge swing, send it right back into the net. He was trying to bring in everybody. And he does represent the go-ahead run for the Dodgers.
Kicks up some dirt. Slightly open stance in that left side. Waggles the bat. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Another strikeout for Byram, and the 4th strikeout of the day for the Blues, as now there are 2 on with 2 out.
Byram has matched the K amounts in half the innings of Viale, and that was a huge one right there. Pulled the string on Kimball with 1 gone. Now makes it 2 outs with 2 runners on. Great job that time by Byram to come back and get the K.
And in steps Dylan Simon, who in his first 2 at-bats was batting from the right side, but now stands in the left-handed batter's box. A little switch hitter, but kind of an interesting approach, because it was also a righty who started the game for the Blues. But for those of you who don't know, Nate and I are big nerds, so we keep track of every single stat. And one thing we were going to add to our stat sheet this year is whether the pitchers were facing a right or left-handed batter. So I've been keeping very accurate track, and he definitely batted from the right side to start for his first 2 at-bats, as the 0-1 misses away.
Well, you'd notice, too, right, on his helmet, you know the C-flap that hitters have that covers their mouth? Yeah. He has one on both sides of the helmet.
Yeah, that's kind of a telltale sign that, you know, you're a switch hitter. Maybe at a higher level you might have 2 different helmets, but here you just get 2 C-flaps, as that one is fouled into what our PA announcer Jim calls as the out-of-bounds zone.
Got to be hard to see out of that helmet, right? I can't speak from experience. I was just a right-handed guy, and I didn't wear a C-flap.
Yeah, I mean, I would think, you know how in softball they got the mask that
right.
they wear? I feel like it'd have to be kind of similar to that, where you had that bar going across like your nose. So maybe a little difficult, a little challenging to see the low pitch, as that one is swung on and just barely tapped at the plate to keep the count at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And not only that, I mean, we've seen throughout the past few summers here the visibility issues at night at Sinsheimer. So with the C-flaps and how, you know, the ball plays at night, could get difficult for him coming down the later innings of this game.
Off-speed pitch just slipped out of the hand of Byram. Count evens up at 2-2, and Nate, it's my favorite part of the inning because the deuces are wild. We have 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs with 2 runners on base, and a 2-run ball game.
It's beautiful.
When the stars align, great things happen. As here's the pitch, swung on and fouled away, and we get to do the deuces wild offering one more time.
And it's a nice job by Simon that time to spoil the pitch, too. Another looping curveball in the upper half of the zone, about a 70% swing, pausing it right in front of his right shoulder. It's good enough to keep him alive in this at-bat.
I got to say, Simon's done a good job working counts. This is his 3rd at-bat of the game, and he will be seeing his 17th pitch of the game, as this is pitch number 7 of this at-bat. Swung on and hit down the left field line, but fouled off again. 3rd 2-strike foul ball in this count.
And Simon sure knows how to work himself out of some at-bats. Again, not a super confident swing, but it does just enough to keep you alive in the AB. It's not a pitch he liked. He hit it softly down the left side, gets another opportunity.
Just good baseball there. As that one gets a pitch he wants and pops it up. O'Hara sits under it, makes the grab on 1 foot to end the inning. So a pair of singles, but no damage done, as both runners are stranded. 2 strikeouts, as the Blues still lead it by 2 here on the SLO Blues streaming network.
What the?
3, 4, 5 due up for the Blues. Comerford, Jordan, and Smith. As Comerford steps in to face Ginder. Ginder sat him down in order last time. A strikeout, a ground out, and a fly out as the first pitch is an off-speed pitch, and it's called a strike. Comerford got plunked on his left elbow the last time he was up, and then popped out in the first as that one is fouled back and out of the ballpark to 0-2.
Again, you're starting off an inning with the best part of your lineup here, Comerford, Jordan, and Smith. Don't want to leave out O'Hara and Hicksonbaugh at all, but these are your biggest boppers on the team.
The 0-2. This is outside at 67 miles per hour.
Right, we talked about guys who came in with a certain energy today. Comerford was elated to be back in San Luis Obispo. Who can blame him?
Fastball misses away. Count evens up at 2-2.
Just a lot of good vibes. You know, we came down there for pregame and said hi to everyone, and Comerford was the first guy to greet us.
Yep.
Just running out. What's up, fellas? Missed that kid.
He's always had a smile on his face even last season, and yeah, he's so excited to be back as he works it from 0-2 to 3-2.
And after a pretty stellar first season at Ohlone College, he squared some balls up pretty well. He squared even more baseballs up this past season with the Renegades.
Yeah, he had just over a 650 slugging his first year as he works a walk. After being down 0-2, he takes 4 straight balls, and he's a leadoff base runner for the second time in this game. But yeah, he slugged over 650 his freshman year, and then comes back his sophomore year and does it again, but even better, up over 710 on that slugging. And you mentioned second team all-conference over at Ohlone, and he's found a new home at Gonzaga, playing Division I baseball, and up north as Don Jordan takes a first pitch strike.
Yeah, it's been a difficult night to try to get an understanding as to what the zone's going to be. If it's going to be in a certain spot, might as well keep it consistent. I kind of took the bat out of Jordan's hands right there.
As that pitch looked a lot closer, but called a ball. Jordan, 1 for 1. He had a base hit and later scored on the Gavin Smith home run, who waits on deck in the first. And then in the second, he walked. And a really good 7-pitch at bat as that one is squibbed, hits off the mound. Might be a 2-ball, but he decides to just go first. That's Simon. And he finds Anderson for the first out.
Yeah, kind of a weird play right that time because it kicked off the mound. It looked like Simon was going to range to his right to get it, had to throw on the brakes, completely shift his momentum going towards first. And you're right, Ryan. It looked like it had the makings of being a double play ball, but if it didn't hit off the mound, but because it did, they only got the out over at first.
Now it's Smith. He's hit the ball hard twice. Once was a 3-run home run in the first inning. The other time was a 90-mile-an-hour line drive to center field. And he cut off the end of the bat, and he still hit it 90 miles an hour. That one not hit quite as hard and flown out into right field. Coming in on it still is Ross. He'll make the throw and then throws a frozen rope to his cutoff, who will knock it down. No advancement from Comerford over at second base. And up steps Andrew Robb with 2 outs.
And Ginder's been making quick work of these Blues hitters. He came in that 4th inning, went 1-2-3, allowed the free pass to Comerford to start the 5th. But since then, back-to-back outs from Jordan and Smith. Robb, who has yet to reach base safely today, now gets a crack at it.
A line out and a ground out as Comerford takes off for third. The throw over hits Comerford in the helmet. He doesn't really know where it goes, and he's just going to take a second to make sure he's okay. Rene Regalado over there checking on him. Comerford showing off the speed and then using the noggin.
Yeah, he's been impressing me with the jumps he's been getting on the base paths. It hasn't just been the speed, but the confidence he's had getting that first break going towards the bag.
Well, and I remember last season, I talked to Dean about it about halfway through the season with all the steals because, Hicksonbaugh and E.J. Royal both had like 10 steals about 20 games in. And I was like, what? Is Renee just giving them the sign over and over again? And he said, no, we just let them do what they want. Here's the 1-0, a big looping breaking ball is a called strike. 1-1.
Yeah, that thing was a flying saucer. It was in the air for quite a while. Hard for Rob to adjust on that one.
Just so hard when you get that stride and load down so quick. You just have to try to keep your weight back and then slap the barrel through the zone. As that time he was out in front of the fastball. And falls behind. 1-2.
Now Rob kind of guessing here. He's trying to put together some type of plan in this AB. Already kind of got fooled with that curveball, and then the fastball was blown by him.
Just in between with his timing. As fastball gets away from Shu, and Comerford will score. And you guys can't see it, but about 50 people just got up out of their seats to run over to Beer 1 down by the parking lot to get their $3 Miller Lights or $4 wines.
And Comerford was directing them to go that way as well. As he was running towards the dugout, he pointed towards Beer 1 down the third base line.
Yeah. He worked hard for it, too. He walked and then ran out what could have been a double play ball, stole third, and then comes home on a wild pitch as count runs full. 3 balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs and nobody on. As Alves waits on deck. He's 0 for 1. Fastball. Everyone thought it was a strike except the umpire and Andrew Robb, and it'll be ball 4.
Yeah, again, an awfully, awfully close call. There's been a few of those tonight where the Blues have gotten lucky. They didn't go the opposite way. Really close takes, and with an umpire that's been as inconsistent as the one tonight, kind of brave that they've been able to take as many pitches as they had in 2 strike counts. It pays off for Rob here. It keeps the inning alive, and a runner on first base.
Left fielder Alves steps in. First pitch, stealing off-speed pitch to throw down. It's a good one, but it hits Rob. So 2 base runners who have stolen bases and gotten punished by getting hit with the ball on the throw. But it's a runner in scoring position now for Alves, and we just saw Rob show off the speed, so a base hit might score him and extend this lead even further.
A second stolen base in this inning. SLO Blues showing off the wheels on the base paths.
That one called strike. Right around the same spot that the ball 4 was given to Rob. Kind of show you the inconsistency of the strike zone and how tough it is for hitters. Hitters won't mind if the zone is big, as long as it's consistently big and strikes are being called in the same spot. If the high strike is being called all day long, hitters won't mind that because they just know that they have to adjust to it. But, we've kind of seen the outside strike called a good amount. If it's about 2 balls or less, it's been called a strike. But the lower pitches have been very inconsistent between balls and strikes. That one is swung on a miss, a big swing over top of the changeup, and count evens up at 2-2.
Yeah, Alves wanted all of that one, the hardest swing he could possibly muster on that pitch.
Rob on second. He walked, later stole the bag. Swung on and missed, but fouled away, excuse me. As we will do the 2-2 again.
Yeah, it looks like he caught a bit of that baseball, hitting it off the shin guard of Shu behind home plate. Lucky that time that Shu didn't come up with it. Gives Alves another chance in this 2-2 count.
Out of the stretch. Ginder fires to the plate. Curveball. Up out of the squat is Shu to catch it. And the count runs full. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Brady saw that pitch all the way in. You could see how much slower Ginder's arm motion was on that curveball.
Fastball misses away. Ball 4, back-to-back walks here with 2 outs as Cam Andrews comes to the plate.
It's something you don't see often with summer ball teams, especially, is hitters being able to take their walks. I think the Blues have been able to do that pretty well, especially through innings 3 through 5. They didn't draw a walk until that 3rd inning, but ever since then, I feel like they've been pretty patient and accepting that they're going to get the base on balls. Obviously, this inning, it's easy to say that because they've had 3 walks in this inning so far. One of them's come around to score. But again, the free passes could come back to haunt the Dodgers if they're not careful.
First pitch to Cam Andrews is hit pretty well out to left. And ranging under it is Mayberry to end the inning. So back-to-back 6-pitch at-bats, and then Andrews swings at the first pitch and flies out to end the inning. But the Blues get one as Comerford manages his way around the bases. Blues extend their lead to 3. It's 5-2 here on the SLO Blues streaming network. Blues lead it by 3 as a new arm for the Blues comes in. It's a sidewinding righty. We're still trying to figure out who that is. You know, we have the roster with a majority of the names, but we are working on it right now. There's someone in the dugout talking to a coach, and it's Chase Rogers. He's wearing number 36, a junior from Lafayette University in Dana Point, California. He did not see any game action this last year with Lafayette. Seeing some summer action here with the Blues, but that means Byram's day is done after 2 innings. Gave up no runs, 3 hits, walked a batter, and struck out 2 batters. Only threw 37 pitches in those 2 innings. And he was a guy who worked very quickly, so hopefully that is continuing here with Chase Rogers. As the first pitch from the sidewinder is swung on and missed. A very different look now for the bottom of the order in Shoe. You had Byram, who was, pretty over the top, and now you get a guy that's, some of his pitches are going to start behind you. and move into the strike zone, as the second pitch is a called strike. Very quickly, Rogers gets ahead 2-0.
Yeah, obviously a lot of arm side run here from the sidewinder Rogers, which makes him so effective.
That slider just didn't quite break enough. Scooting out of the way of it is Shu.
And you can see the vision on the slider, too. Starting in on the front hip of the right-handed hitters, it's designed to break either in the middle of the zone or on the outer half of the zone. See that a lot of time with those sidewinders, especially with Rogers.
Rogers gets a soft ground ball played by O'Hara. O'Hara uses that strong arm, throws it over to first for the first out of the inning. O'Hara fielding his third ground ball of the day, and getting the first out of the inning.
And again, what you see from that sidewinding motion is a lot of swing and miss, but you get a lot of soft contact too, just like that time with Dylan Shu. Hitting it off the end of the bat, a slow roller to O'Hara. Be prepared to see a lot of those with this type of delivery.
That one, a chopper. Good play over there in the on-deck circle. And he'll just put that one in his pocket to hand back to the umpire when he gets up to bat. That's the leadoff hitter, Kai Malt, as Rogers gets ahead in the count. 0-1. The second chase we've seen on the mound today for the Blues. Viale started this game as that pitch barely misses for ball one.
That's a good pitch, and it's something you want to build off of, even as you don't get a strike there, but you're trying to work on stuff. And I think if I'm the catcher, Andrews, I'm telling him to keep hammering that slider because now it's working like he wants it to.
Very similar spot. Call the ball again. A sinker from the sidewinder. He falls behind in the count. 2-1. That one swung on, hit hard through the left side for a base hit. Going to a knee to field it as Alves. A one-out base runner for the Coastal Dodgers as they throw it back to the top of the order, and Kai Malt.
Yeah, that one was handled pretty well by Capel at the bottom of the order, doing a nice job just getting the barrel out there. He saw a lot of pitches with movement, the sinker and the slider. You're not going to see too many that are super flat, except that time. A mistake capitalized by Capel, and it's a single with one gone. And see, that's where the frustration lies, where that slider is not called a strike, and we've seen it be called a strike. It really, from both sides of the plate, it's been difficult to really gauge how to pitch.
Great play there behind the plate by Andrews. Almost a full dive to his right to keep that ball in front and keep Capel at first base. Now it misses outside, 2-1. A little bit of trouble now here for Rogers after getting a soft ground out, a hard base hit, and falls behind in the count to Malt. As that one jams him and he pops it up on the infield grass. Comerford will squeeze it for the second out of the inning.
Maybe it's hard to tell on your YouTube screen right now, but we've entered a time of night, the twilight zone. It really is called the twilight sky. It's very, very hard to pick up fly balls at this time of day because you're kind of in the middle of sunset and turning into nighttime, and when the balls are hitting the air, it blends right in with the sky. So wouldn't be surprised if you see guys start to communicate that much more when balls are hitting the air.
Runner goes, pitch misses outside, throw down, not in time, and it squirts away from O'Hara, who was covering that time. Or excuse me, that's Cuccia who was covering. A stolen base for Capel, moves a runner in scoring position with 2 outs.
And that throw was on the money by Andrews. He could have placed it just slightly higher, but you can't ask for much more on the nose than that. Just sliding right into it with his shoulder was Capel.
Yeah, it appeared to be an off-speed pitch, so a little bit of a disadvantage there. And sidewinders tend to take a little bit longer in their motion to get the ball to the plate. It's because there's a little more movement that goes into being throwing from your hip rather than above your shoulder. As the 1-1 is a called strike. Runner goes again. Pitch swung on and flied into center field. On the infield as Cuccia will stand under it and make the grab to end the inning. A hit, but no damage done. The Blues still lead it by 3 as the Blues come up. It's going to be Cuccia, Hicksonbaugh, and O'Hara in the bottom of the 6th. Bottom of the 6th as this inning is brought to you by SLO County Golf, offering 3 incredible courses for golfers of all skill levels. Whether it's just hitting the range or playing a casual round of friends or challenging yourselves out there on the golf course, Morro Bay, Dairy Creek, and Chalk Mountain have you covered. Learn more and plan your next round at www.slowcountygolf.com. And Nate, when we saw this was going to be one of our ad reads, we knew this was going to pull up tangents because we golf.
We'll be there no matter what.
Yeah.
You can guarantee that.
Whether they're a sponsor of the Blues or not, which we do greatly appreciate their support. We'll be at Chalk Mountain this summer.
Right, I don't know if you know this. Last time we played golf, I was rather terrible, but I shot a 95.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa! Nice.
Isn't that crazy?
Okay, yeah. I'm loving it. Honestly, I haven't had enough time as the 2-0 misses down. I haven't had enough time recently to play a lot. I probably haven't played since January, maybe.
That's fair.
Just been busy,
Yeah.
school and work, and now the Blues. But can't wait until school ends, and I'm sure we'll be playing a good amount of golf as a 4-pitch walk to Cuccia sets up the top of the order for the Blues. What's your go-to out of the SLO County Golf courses?
You know what, man? Like, consistently, you go to Dairy Creek, but my favorite is Morro Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, for the price you pay for what views you get, and it's incredible. I can't believe it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, I live in Arizona, and I can't believe it.
Cuccia goes. Throw down is a day late as ball 1 to Hicksonbaugh. Yeah, I have to agree with you. All 3 courses are incredible. The one thing I love about Chalk Mountain, the course you didn't mention, is that the pace of play there is good. Mm-hmm. People move there.
Yep.
So
it's pretty big too, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of a lot of areas for you to move ahead.
There's also a lot of holes that are easier if you are a beginning golfer. As that one misses away, 6 straight balls to start the inning for Ginder. There's a lot of holes that are easy. Like, to me, the 4th hole is very easy. It's about a 380-yard par 4, pretty straight away. As long as you can keep the ball somewhat straight, you're going to be okay. But then they also have these challenging holes, as that one is fouled back. Like the next hole, hole 5, it's a very tough par 3. It's a horizontal green that has a bunch of ridges in it, and you got to hit a perfect shot to land it on the green. If you're long, you're in the bushes behind. If you're left or right, you're in the bushes. If you're short, you got a very tough chip going back up. So that's why I like chalk, just because there's a bunch of different holes for all different levels of skill.
You know, I used to live in San Luis Obispo proper, so wouldn't make the drive up to Chalk often.
Yeah.
But this summer I live in A-Town,
Yeah.
and I'm literally down the street from Chalk Mountain, so I expect to be out there often.
Yeah, and a good price there, too.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's $47 for a round of 18 holes and a cart.
It's beautiful, too.
Yeah. Hixenbaugh hits that one into center field. Capel gets it, a fake from Cuccia over to third, but he decides not to go. First out of the inning on an F8.
And again, did you notice on that twilight sky how hard that was to see from our vantage point in the press box?
Yeah.
Imagine what Capel was thinking out there in center. I'm surprised he didn't have more difficulty seeing that one.
Yeah, to me, honestly, it looked like Hixenbaugh got that one on the screws, and it was going to go over the head of Capel. And then he took a step in, and then it was like, wait, is it going to go over my head? But he actually just ended up being in the perfect spot and dropped straight into the glove. He caught it flat-footed. That is fouled off by O'Hara, not going to be playable, and into the Blues bullpen. Cuccia still waits on second in scoring position. O'Hara's at the plate. Comerford, who has reached base safely twice, on deck.
And Cade, an opportunity here to drive in another insurance run. Up 5-2, want it to be that much more.
The 0-1 misses low, 1-1. 2 hours and 13 minutes into the game. We are in the bottom of the sixth as the Blues lead it 5-2. As the move to second is not in time. O'Hara was already in the secondary, but nobody was covering, so he caught a break there. 61 degrees and cloudy at game time, and that's cooled down a little bit, 54 degrees, but the clouds have parted a little bit. There's a little less cloud coverage. Nice little pink sunset going on. We can't really see it, but I can see the clouds are a little pinkish and orange as Cuccia takes off for third, and he gets there without even a tag being applied. A walk and 2 stolen bases has Cuccia in business, and we're giving away another fast feet seat cushion.
Yeah, again, some more motion on the base paths for the Blues, and I remember this being a trend last year too, and it kind of waned away towards the end of the season. I think this is something that they got to hammer on that much more. If Comerford's going to have the speed that he does now, you got a guy like Don Jordan in the lineup too. Gavin Smith can run. O'Hara can run. I'd use it.
O'Hara hits that ball high and kind of deep out to left, but it is foul past the bullpen of the Dodgers where a righty is getting loose. Number 2. See if we got his number. It's Riley Bassett. Rigetti High School and Allen Hancock commit. Getting loose as the infield is now in. Here's the 1-2. Swung on and missed. O'Hara goes down swinging for the first time today, his second strikeout of the day. And now makes Comerford's job that much harder. With that runner on third, he has to get a ball down in the outfield grass, or just get on base safely, I should say, to bring that run home.
Yeah, it's a frustrating at-bat there for Cade O'Hara, because in that situation, all you're trying to do is put the ball in the air, and he did that on a couple of his fly balls, just couldn't quite straighten it out into fair territory, ended up with a K. It's the last thing you want to do.
First pitch to Comerford, misses high. Comerford's had some good at-bats in his first inning. He saw 4 pitches and popped out. In the second at-bat, he was hit by a pitch, got all the way around to third, but then was stranded there. And then in the 5th inning, he drew a 6-pitch walk as that one misses outside. Got to second on a walk from Rab. Stole third and scored on a wild pitch. And started hyping up the fans as he told them where to go to get their $3 beer and $4 wine.
It's a good moment.
Lots of feel. 2-0. misses down, 3-0. Cuchilla thought about coming home, but a pretty good stop by Shu behind the plate. Cuchilla dancing over at third. He's a third of the way down the baseline as Comerford draws a 4-pitch walk. That's the second 4-pitch walk of the inning. Comerford has been up to the plate 4 times, but has only recorded 1 at-bat officially.
And the on-base percentage skyrocketing there for Brendan. And I remember this being something that Comerford wanted to work on a lot more last summer, is drawing more of those walks. I know that strikeouts were a big issue for him, at least last summer with San Luis Obispo, so it's really nice to see him see a lot of pitches and get rewarded with those walks. He made it hurt last time in the 5th inning. He made it up to second base off a fielder's choice from Jordan, then stole third and scored on that wild pitch. So if he can wreak some more havoc on the base paths, I wouldn't be surprised here if he attempted to steal second at least, or getting some type of rundown. I know this team has only been assembled for a few days, and they probably haven't set up any first and third plays, but getting in a rundown and maybe getting Cuchilla to score.
Well, they might not have set anything up, but it's very possible you have 2 returning players on the base paths, 2 players who have played with Rene Regalado before. Cuchilla, who, if I'm not mistaken, he played for Rene in high school, as the first pitch to Jordan is going to be in foul territory. Good hustle from both the catcher, Shu, and the third baseman, Molt, but neither one get to it.
There's a nice hustle there from Shu, booking it over towards the on-deck circle. Just couldn't quite find it soon enough. You saw the last-minute effort to dive towards the baseball, but again, real nice effort. Just I don't think saw it right away.
Yeah, and I was mistaken. He played at Righetti High School, but played with Rene Regalado last year, and so did Comerford. So give Don Jordan the take sign and tell Comerford to go. Maybe you do have a little makeshift play in the making, as Comerford does take off. Don Jordan either didn't get the take sign or it was a designed hit and run, as it is fouled back.
And just missing that pitch, too. He wanted all of that one. You could see him kind of shake his head outside the batter's box. You know he wants that pitch back, and he really wants to get a barrel on it. Instead of crushing it, finds himself 0-2.
Comerford has to retreat back to first as well on the foul ball. See if he decides to go again here. He doesn't really look like he's going to. Standing straight up, about a step and a half, maybe 2 steps off of first base, with Anderson holding him on. He doesn't go. Jordan takes a pitch that could have been called a strike, but it wasn't caught by Shu, so it'll be a ball.
I think that was the great separator there. If Shu corrals that one in, that's probably called a strike.
Yeah, and Jordan offered at it. He didn't. There was no appeal, but he started to move the bat forward, knowing that he might need to swing at that pitch because it wasn't too far outside. But yeah, Shu not able to corral. Comerford goes. Jordan rips that ball into center field. It's hard to track out there, but Capel does a good job to get under it and end the inning. 2 runners reach base. They both get stranded, as I will hand it back over to Nate Mills, and he will take you the rest of the way here on the SLO Blues streaming network. and then I will turn it.
Seventh inning at Sinsheimer Stadium. Blues still up 5-2 over the Coastal Dodgers in a game that has just come to a screeching halt in terms of run production. Digging in is the switch-hitting first baseman Theo Anderson as he watches the first pitch from Rogers in there for a strike. Rogers, we saw him come in, introduced as the three-quarters guy, a funky delivery, and delivers Anderson a slider on the first pitch. Just kind of tied him up that time. A 6'7" frame. It's a long way to get down there on that off-speed pitch. 0-1 misses into the batter's box. Andrews scoops it out of the dirt. 1-1 now to Andrews. I'm going to check that. Anderson, who is 0 for 1 today. He's walked twice and struck out swinging to begin the fifth inning. 1-1. This one in the other batter's box once again. 2 balls and 1 strike now to the big, lanky first baseman. And he's bailed the Dodgers out of a couple errant throws so far this game. Haven't seen too many mishaps in the middle thirds, but in the first thirds at least, he's been a nice backstop there at first base. As Rogers struggles to find the strike zone on that sinker. We saw the arsenal from Chase Rogers coming in with the slider, the fastball, the sinker. And if you can tunnel those pitches effectively, you can be a pretty good arm out there. Doesn't matter how hard you can actually throw the fastball, as long as there's big pitch variation, a lot of high spin, funky delivery. It's hard for a hitter to pick it up, especially in an atmosphere like right now. Here's the 3-1. Fastball tagged to the second baseman, Cuchilla. Shuffles to his left, makes the throw on the run in time. That's the first out of the inning, a 4-3 putout.
Yeah, not quite as similar of an arm angle as Tyler Rogers, who is a reliever for the Giants, who throws all the way from the ground, submarine style, but it's very similar in that aspect where Tyler doesn't throw the ball hard, but the stuff is gross and he knows how to use it in certain tunnels that it's effective. So that's essentially what Rogers is trying to do from that low, waist-high delivery. Just use the stuff effectively. He doesn't need to throw it hard, but if he starts a good tunnel and is able to work with that tunnel, it just makes it so hard to figure out what he's throwing, especially when you just don't see it that often. If there were a lot of pitchers who threw from the waist, it might be a little easier to pick up on it. But when you only see, they're only probably going to get, during this whole summer, these Dodgers players probably only going to get maybe 5 to 10 at-bats against people who throw from the same arm slot as Rogers.
And you mentioned a buzzword that's been thrown around baseball as the first pitch to Landon Mabry misses inside for ball 1. Mabry's seeing it well, 2 for 3 tonight with a double and a single, RBI double. Tunneling has been a big buzzword with baseball, and it's what's been how teams look at a valuable pitcher, how well they can tunnel their pitches. Slider in the other box called a strike, way outside, but goes Rogers' way. And it's kind of to the sentiment you said, Ryan, of it doesn't really matter necessarily so much the fastball, especially with the way arms get injured nowadays. It's more about the stuff. And if you can have good stuff and it be effective, you're going to be highly sought after. Here's a sinker, clipping the inner half of the zone for strike 2.
I feel like you just see it more and more, especially I watch a lot of Major League Baseball, so that's kind of where I see it. I'm also a huge Giants fan, so I look at guys like Landon Roop, who hasn't had a ton of success in the MLB, but his curveball is his grossest pitch, and he throws it almost 70% of the time. So that a fastball, not being as effective, but the curveball, he's able to work it well with the fastball and create some tunnels, and it makes it hard for hitters to piece it up.
It's something you see a lot in the CCL, too. You're not going to see a ton of flamethrowers. 2-2 misses inside over the shoe tops for ball 3. You're not going to see a ton of flamethrowers unless you're maybe in Cape Cod or the Northwoods, and even then those guys will opt to work out at tread athletics or drive lines so they can avoid those injuries on competitive pitches. So that's kind of the recipe here in the CCL. Here's the payoff pitch. Slider popped up in the air to shallow left. O'Hara looks like he's got it, waves everyone off, almost stutter steps there, but makes the flat-footed grab for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, the only guy I can think of, I can't remember his name, but the Foresters had a guy last year who threw in the high 90s, a TCU commit, or TCU player, I should say. But the Blues actually did a pretty good job with him because the stuff was very flat. A good sinker, a fastball with a good amount of run from from Rogers might be harder to hit at, in the mid-80s rather than, a mid-90s fastball from over the top that's just very flat and doesn't move a lot.
Very true. Here's Truett Ross, left-handed hitter. Half swing on a slider, called a strike either way. A ball and a strike to the right fielder, Ross, who's also having a pretty good night too. A double in the second, a single in the fifth inning. Sandwiched in between a ground out to the second baseman, Cuccia. That 4-5 spot has been pretty productive for the Dodgers as he cues this one down the third baseline and foul, a ball and 2 strikes. And it's funny, the 4-5 spot has produced 4 of the 6 hits tonight for the Coastal Dodgers, and neither of those players have scored. It's been Kai Malt and Theo Anderson who have scored the 2 lone runs tonight for Coastal. Swung on and missed. Soared. Got him on the sweeper for strike 3, and the side is retired. 3 up, 3 down. Ross got fooled. 5-2 San Luis Obispo heading to the bottom half of the 7th on the Slow Blues streaming network. Just finished stretching here at Sinsheimer Stadium, and the Blues are up 5-2 over the Coastal Dodgers. A game that had so much offense in the first third. 4 runs for San Luis Obispo and 2 for Coast. As Cinch come to a screeching halt, just squeaking out 5 in the bottom half of the 5th. That was all for the middle of the 3rd, and now they're trying to build it back up here as the Amtrak rolls on by and honks its horn. 0-1 count now to Gavin Smith, who launched that 3-run homer in the first inning and has been pretty quiet since. Hits this one off the end of the bat to the shortstop Camarena, who throws over the bag at second base for the first out of the inning. Gavin Smith hunting early in the count, doesn't pay off for him in a weak contact ground out to begin things in the bottom half of the 7th inning. And Gio Blanchette, shout out to him, former Blue in the comments section, pointing out that Mason Bixby is the pitcher Ryan and I were referring to, the big right-hander from TCU, who the Blues faced last year with the Santa Barbara Foresters, who would top at 98 miles an hour, but because it didn't really have the movement, guys in San Luis Obispo were able to see it well and put some nice swings on it. Now playing in the Big 12 Conference Tournament over in Arlington, Texas at Globe Life Stadium. But we're here in slow as the first pitch to Rob misses inside for ball 1. Rob today 0 for 2, lined out to the third baseman Malt. Made a nice play over at the hot corner. Also walked and stole a bag. Rolls out of the way of it off speed, and it's taken for a strike. Fans starting to trickle out of Sinsheimer Stadium as the temperature drops dramatically. Ryan kind of mentioned it earlier. It's 61 degrees at first pitch as the off-speed misses inside for a ball, 2-1. It's dropped about 7 degrees. And the fog hasn't quite rolled in yet, but the breeze pushing it sure has. This one towering up into left field. Racing in is Mayberry. Calls no one off, and Camarena makes the grab with the backhand. And oof, a scary moment out in shallow left field. You got to be able to communicate there to avoid any collision. Luckily, no one hit each other.
Very scary moment. That could be really tough as a left fielder. He's running full speed in, and it's possible he called off. It's actually not Camarena anymore. It's Trigo, who pinch hit in the 4th inning. But it's possible he called him off, but Trigo didn't hear him because they're both just running full speed, and they're so locked in on just making sure they can get to the ball.
And here's something rare happening at Sinsheimer, too. The wind is blowing out to left field.
Oh, my God.
Never seen anything like this before, especially at this time of night, too. The wind usually tends to die down. Here's the 1-0 to Alves. That misses downstairs. 2 balls and no strikes. And so if you're a right-handed hitter, you're thinking pull side as much as possible. Here's the 2-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. And Brady Alves was certainly thinking that time on the 2-0. He takes a deep breath, tries to hit reset back into the batter's box as Cam Andrews awaits on deck. 2-1 pitch. Looping off speed, missing high. 3 balls and 1 strike. Alves over 0 for 1 today. A high pop out to center field in the 2nd, and consecutive walks after in those next 2 plate appearances. 3-1 in there, first strike. Fastball clipping the bottom half of the zone. Real nice pitch there from Riley Bassett for strike 2. We didn't get you set up on Bassett, the brand new pitcher for the Coastal Dodgers. A high school senior from Rigetti, as this one's lined and caught by the shortstop, Trigo. He took some time to size it up, and falling backwards, he makes the leaping grab to end the inning. 3 up, 3 down in the bottom half of the 7th. We head into the 8th. 5-2 Blues on the SLO Blues streaming network. New pitcher on the mound for San Luis Obispo, waiting to get an ID for you guys. We're still trying to learn all the names here and trying to get everyone documented on our prep roster sheet. We have quite a few names on here, but we still got a couple stragglers. That's kind of just the nature of summer ball. Some new names coming in as we await for the regular cast of characters to drop in. So for now, we're just going to get you prepped on who leads off this inning for the Coastal Dodgers, and that's Carter Kimball. Kimball watches the slider for the first pitch inside for ball one. He came in to replace Liam Keithley, the DH tonight, who walked and then struck out looking in his 2 plate appearances. Kimball came in after that, struck out swinging in the 5th inning, and he has a wild swing and miss this time for strike 1. Now 1-1 to the DH batting 6th. And it looks like the new pitcher is Matt Betancourt, the junior out of Fresno Pacific. 1-1. Swing and tipped off the catcher of Andrews. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and Kimball with a violent swing trying to put the Dodgers on top with just 1 swing of the bat, which is physically impossible right now.
Yeah.
One ball and 2 strikes to Kimball. And slider getting out of the grip there of Betancourt, missing outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fresno Pacific, Ryan, what's their nickname?
Oh, God. Nate, you know I'm not great at this, which is why we play this game.
Yeah.
But I do thoroughly enjoy it. Their nickname?
Yeah.
Does it have anything to do with, like, their school at all?
Like the area?
Yeah. Or just like the
No.
Okay, so
it's mythical. Swung on and hit to the second baseman. Cuchilla gobbles it up and throws it over to first in time for the first out of the inning.
Okay, well, mythical narrows it down a touch, at least, because now I'm, like, thinking, like, unicorns and dragons.
Okay.
Let's go with they're the Wizards.
The Wizards?
Yeah.
Now, as much as I would love to tell you that's the answer, it's incorrect.
What is it?
But we should have more wizard mythical nicknames,
Yeah.
though. Can we? I want to get that going.
Yeah.
The Warlocks?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, the Firebirds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Share it with Arizona Christian. And it looks like we got a pinch hitter coming in for the Coastal Dodgers. Have quite a few of those tonight. Levi Cook, a redshirt freshman at Allen Hancock College. That one's easy, Ryan. The Bulldogs. Swung on and late hit out of the stadium for strike 1.
Yeah, I'm just, college, as even though I've been working in the CCL and I currently I've been working in the CCL now for 4 summers, and I call college sports at Cal Poly. I suck with colleges, like especially their mascots.
This one misses low and outside for a ball.
I would want to blame my lovely parents because
wait, what? Not Mr. and Mrs. Giacomini?
Yeah, it's just because I grew up in an area where there wasn't like a really prolific college team.
Okay.
So, like, we just never really cared about college sports. And, a lot of my sport love has come from my parents. My grandfather played minor league ball for the Giants, and we grew up in the Bay. I went to my first Giants game when I was 6. Fun fact, it was the game that Barry Bonds tied the home run record.
Oh, what a great one. Pop up into shallow right, now drifts into the infield, and Cuchilla makes a one-handed grab for the second out of the inning.
I was 6 weeks old, so I don't remember it.
Okay.
But, yeah, it happened. I was there. I have a shirt from it.
That's incredible,
That's
dude.
about a size too small, but
still have it. You could frame it.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
One size too small?
Yeah, because it was my grandfather's.
Oh,
He was
okay.
also at the game, and he just gave it to me a couple weeks ago. And that told me that story, so I didn't even know until recently.
Oh.
But, yeah, so we just weren't big college sports people. The closest college we had was Sonoma State, not a huge sports school.
Well, and unfortunately, they've cut all sports.
Yeah.
This one hit on the ground, left side. Shortstop O'Hara's got it. Fires it over to first in plenty of time. And the side is retired. Another 3 up, 3 down for San Luis Obispo. We cruise into the bottom half of the 8th inning. 5-2 Blues on the Slow Blues Streaming Network. Bottom half of the 8th inning is brought to you by our friends at Ancient Owl. Our friends at Ancient Owl Beer Garden and Bottle Shop is your go-to spot for every Blues road game. Located just around the corner, Ancient Owl is the official home of the Blues Watch Party all season long. Join fellow friends, grab a cold one, and cheer on the team as they play on a road games. All those road games will be broadcasted at Ancient Owl. Choose your beer wisely. Leading off for the Blues, it's Cam Andrews as he watches that one go inside 2-0 to the SF State backstop. That's a pretty cool new addition now to the season. Ancient Owl airing our away games.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be on the call for all of our away games. I'll join you for the ones I can.
Yep.
So you can catch our voices still at Ancient Owl. We'll also just be live on our YouTube page if you can't get out to Ancient Owl.
We're always live here, no matter what.
Well, we're also hoping, for those of you who missed our pregame show, Nate and I are starting a podcast called The Orange Row, where we'll just talk about Blues baseball. And we're hoping those will be live at some point as well. But if not, we'll at least be posting those videos on our YouTube page. And we'll let you know when we post those. We're going to try to get a pretty consistent schedule down once we get an episode or two out. Mm-hmm. We recorded the first episode on was it Monday?
I believe so.
Where we had an interview with Katie Walsh, who is one of the coordinators of the host families. Great interview, great person. So that'll be coming out. Thinking tomorrow I should be able to get it out. Don't quote me on that. Tomorrow or Sunday, though, it will be out. And, you can catch that on our YouTube page.
Ryan, what was that just happened?
A walk.
It was a leadoff walk.
It was a leadoff walk.
What are leadoff walks?
Free base runners?
They're ill-advised.
Yeah, that is true as well.
And what can they do?
They can lead to rallies.
They can come back to haunt you.
Ooh. All right, it's the spooky hour here on the Slum Blues streaming network, apparently.
First pitch misses high to Caden Cuccia. Check that. They'll call it a strike. First pitch fastball to the second baseman.
Jumped ahead 6 months. It's now October, and we're getting spooky here.
Well, with the way the weather is right now, it feels like winter or fall.
Cold, windy night.
Yeah. Here's the 0-1 to Cuccia. Rolls out of the way of that fastball. Almost clipped him on the right shoulder. 1 ball and 1 strike to Caden.
Well, and what I've noticed, I haven't been local for too long, but I live over by where like CalFresh Market is, and over there I leave my house and it's not windy and it's bright and sunny, and I get over here, it's only 3 or 4 miles away, and the weather is totally different on this side of town. I feel like it's way windier over here.
Yeah.
I always have to dress differently when I leave the house knowing I'm coming to a ball game.
A big swing and a miss there from Caden Cuccia. As we said, Ryan, we almost showed up to the ballpark today in our shorts.
Yeah.
Last-minute decision into the pants and the Q-zips. Cold nights here, cold summer nights. Pick over to first is not in time to try to get Andrews. But again, we can talk about the weather here. It's pretty much better than 98% of places in the world, maybe.
We're also complaining, but it was, 72 yesterday?
Right. Chases the elevated fastball for strike 3, and Caden Cuccia goes down swinging. That's the 4th strikeout of the night for the Blues offense, and that turns it over to the top of the lineup in Jake Hicksonbaugh.
Although the weather in SLO is so incredible, I think my biggest complaint are just the weather shifts. Not even just throughout the day, but the fact that, this week we were in the mid to high 70s, and then today it topped out about 67. I think it's supposed to be even colder tomorrow and into the weekend. Let's see what the weather app says.
If we have listeners, in the middle of the United States or on the East Coast, they hate us.
Yeah. I'm complaining about it was 67 and sunny for the rest of the day today, and then it's going to be 65 tomorrow. And sunny.
What are we going to do?
Oh, my God. I might have to put on a hoodie.
Here's Jake Hicksonbaugh, who's hitless today, 0 for 4 this evening. First pitch bounces on top of home plate. And the new catcher, no longer Shu, Cooper Carter, hustling on that one, blocking it in front. Hicksonbaugh grounded out to short, grounded out to second, struck out swinging, and popped out to center today. So looking for that first hit of the season. He's got a runner on first, and Andrews, 1-0. Big swing and a miss on the changeup for strike 1. And Andrews this past season with the Gators. No stolen bags. Didn't have any the year prior either. On no attempts as well. 1-1. And Hicksy watches that one way outside. 2 balls and a strike.
You know what I love about all these returning players, too, is we don't have to come up with nicknames for them. You just called Hicks, Hicksy. You know, we call Brendan Comerford, a variety of nicknames as well.
Become, like.
Yeah, EJ, we call him the hometown kid.
Well, what's funny, you say kid. I've been calling Hicksonbaugh kid the past 2 seasons. I think he's graduated from kid status. Lined right to the second baseman, Simon. They try to pick over to first to get Andrews, but he gets back in time. Soft liner for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, I think Hicks has graduated as well. I mean, even from the beginning of last season to now, I feel like he's become a lot more mature as not only a ball player, but also just a human being. You know, he's a great guy to be around, and third year with the team, you might call him grandfather at this point of the team.
That's my nickname, Ryan.
Yeah. What are you, pushing 30?
Here's Cade O'Hara, who's not too far behind me. Just kidding. Cade is in his junior season looking for a new place to call home after a couple years at Texas. The first pitch is taken for a strike to O'Hara. Started off his day pretty well with a single and came around to score on that Smith homer. Since then, a couple of strikeouts and a ground out to the second baseman, Simon. O'Hara, you can write this down in the record books, had the first hit of the Blues all summer. 0-1's a slider that gets away from Carter, and an easy 90 feet for Andrews, now at second base. So another good moment here for O'Hara to bring in another run. Trying to find a barrel somewhere in the gaps. The outfield in Sinsheimer is humongous. Plenty of opportunities to find some real estate, especially when you got a crosswind up in the high sky. The wind is still blowing out to left field, too, which you don't see often here at this time of night.
Almost looks like it's blowing out a little bit more than it was, too. Like the flag is, not fully visible. Before it was a big jet stream, and we could see the flag rippling across. Now it's kind of hiding behind itself as if it's blowing out a little bit as well.
Here's O'Hara with Comerford on deck. 2 gone, a 2-1 count. Runner on second base, it's Cam Andrews. Fastball swung on and missed for strike 2, elevated.
And he wanted to send that ball into outer space, but he was just a tick under it.
Now having to be tough with 2 is Cade O'Hara, a 2-way player from Southern California. Back for his second season with San Luis Obispo after a hiatus last year. Fastball swung on and missed for strike 3. Third K of the night for Cade O'Hara, and we'll head into the top of the 9th inning. Last chance potentially for the Dodgers as they trail by 3 to San Luis Obispo on the SLO Blues streaming network. Matt Betancourt back in action for the Coastal Dodgers here in the top half of the ninth inning. Their last chance potentially to score against the San Luis Obispo Blues in this ballgame. A 5-2 contest at Sinsheimer Stadium. Opening night, fans have kind of trickled out a little bit with the cold weather looming over Sinsheimer Stadium as the first pitch into Drew Capel misses inside for a ball. Capel tonight 1 for 2. Paired that with a walk as well in the third inning. Slider swung on and missed for strike 2. And again, Ryan and I talked about the tunneling of the pitches. You're seeing that right now with Betancourt. And check that, a 1-1 count here to Drew Capel. Here's the offering. Fastball high and outside. Now advances to 2-1 now. To the center fielder batting ninth. Middle infield playing wide open as the 2-1 comes home, and it's swung on and missed for strike 2. Again, it's that elevated fastball, especially at this time of night. Pretty difficult to pick up, and it looks so enticing as a hitter. You want to wave at it every single time, but like chocolate mousse, looks good. Not good for you. 3-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Matt Betancourt gets a chasing strikeout to Capel. And there's one gone in the ninth.
Just 2 outs away from capturing an opening day victory against the Coastal Dodgers, which the Blues were unable to do a year ago.
And kind of a funny game here as well. Very explosive in the first third and just kind of been goose eggs ever since. The first pitch slider misses low for a ball. And looks like we have a pinch hitter here for the Coastal Dodgers. Not listed on the roster. It's a slow roller back to the pitcher. Betancourt fields it and rolls it over to first. Nice scoop that time by Comerford to record the second out of the ninth inning. Blues are 1 away from capitalizing this one with a dub. And Ryan and I talked about all the content opportunities you have with us this season. We also have a post-game show.
Yep.
So be sure you stick around for that as we share our thoughts after tonight's game. Now here's Trigo batting for the Dodgers with 1 out remaining. And a first pitch slider misses below the zone for ball 1. Seen that slider be called a strike quite a few times tonight. And not this time. 5-2 ball game. Betancourt comes home. Another sweeper, this time in there. 1 ball and 1 strike. Mason Trigo, a senior from Buena High School. Watches the elevated fastball above the zone. 2-1 now. Bearing his face in his glove is Betancourt. Now comes through from the windup. And the slider is tapped and nicked off the shin of Andrews into the backstop. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fans holler for their hot sauce as the Dodgers are down to their last strike. 5-2 ball game opening night at Sinsheimer. Here's the offering from Betancourt on the 2-2. Slider hits him on the glute. So in a 2-2 count with 2 gone, the inning stays alive with a Trigo hit by pitch. And it looks like the Dodgers have another pinch hitter. It's Sean Rivas. He's kind of emptying the bench here. He's a local from Mission Prep High School. He's a high school senior. So Theo Anderson exits this game after going hitless. A big 6'7" switch hitter. First pitch is a slider missing outside for a ball. 2 quick outs from Betancourt, and now traffic on the base paths. The tying run awaits on deck. Off speed, missing inside. 2 balls and no strikes. To Sean Rivas. Has been cold on the bench all night tonight, just kind of sitting there waiting for a chance, and He's getting one right now. Just down the street from home at Mission Prep High School. 2-0, sizable lead at first base for Trigo. He takes off towards second. Here's the throw to Cuccia. It rolls into center field, but Rob is right there. He holds up his throw to third as Trigo also takes third base. Costly mistake behind the dish from Andrews, who short-hopped it to the second baseman Cuccia and turned into a 180-foot stolen base.
We've been praising Andrews all day long for the job he's done blocking balls, but that is the second error he has made in this game, both of which have resulted in an extra 90 feet for the Dodgers base runners.
3-0. This one, no doubt about that one, well above the zone, and it's a 4-pitch walk to Sean Rivas after coming in off the bench. So a hit by pitch and a walk after 2 very quick outs, and a pitching coach for San Luis Obispo coming out to have a chat with his right-hander. Looks like we have another pinch hitter as well for the Coastal Dodgers, and again, another unnamed player on their roster. Number 22, no name associated with him on our sheet up here in the press box.
And I got to say, I'm very impressed with the Dodgers because, as Nate and I mentioned a few times, Dodgers are probably, a team, they got a bunch of high school guys who they're just kind of throwing in there to field a team and get some reps in today. But they do have about half their roster with numbers given to us. I know the Blues, they got their jerseys today, so we didn't get those numbers, but we were able to get at least the starters' numbers.
Broken bat right back to the pitcher, Betancourt. It's an easy flip to first, and the Blues fly the W. On opening night, San Luis Obispo snags the 5-2 win against the Coastal Dodgers and get revenge from last summer where they fell to the same exact will fill you in on it, not just from a pitching perspective, but the offense as well. There's a lot of positives to look at as we join you back here in the press box on the SLO Blues Streaming Network. Nate Mills alongside Ryan Giacomini saying hello once again. And Ryan, what are some things to you that you really like from the Blues tonight?
I think what I really liked from the Blues tonight was the scoring started early. It didn't really continue as often as you would like it, but a 3-run first inning on a Gavin Smith home run. It's just a great start to the ball game. Gave them the lead, and then they never looked back. At no point did the Dodgers really. The closest they got was within 2 after that. So the Blues just did a really good job. Getting a lead, maintaining a lead, and then taking it all the way to the end with some good pitching. I'd like to see the walk numbers come down, some quicker at bats from the Blues pitchers, but overall a really good job on both sides of the ball today from the Blues.
Yeah, the Dodgers didn't really cause that much damage offensively, and I think the pitchers for San Luis Obispo did a nice job minimizing the damage. We sort of talked about it on the broadcast, how Jake Hixenbaugh noticed that there were a ton of arms available in that bullpen. If you were looking over at that bullpen too, you saw a ton of guys ready to go in and throw some innings. I love that for this team. I love the way that this team is built right now. I think it's built to have some longevity when you start with pitchers first and go through. I just think that's a great business model if you're playing the CCL.
Yeah, I think that had to have been an emphasis for this team going into this summer because, if you paid attention to us last summer, at the end of the year we had Gavin Constantine out there throwing. We had other position players who we just needed to eat an inning or two because we just ran out of pitchers. Pitchers would come, they'd hit their inning limit that their coach gave them, or they wouldn't be pitching well and they would just decide to go home. And the Blues ran into a ton of issues with that. So having a group of pitchers here early, and we have a couple of guys who are pitching but only on 2-week contracts. So we'll see them probably a good amount in these first couple of weeks while that contract is still happening. And then once they leave, we'll get our more permanent guys to come in who are either finishing up their college seasons or maybe enjoying a week or two with their family before heading down here to play some baseball.
For you, Ryan, who were you most impressed with the sticks offensively for the Blues? Whose night did you like the best?
I think not necessarily with the stick, but Brendan Comerford just showed me what he had today, showed me what he picked up this year at Ohlone. He didn't get a hit, but reached base safely 3 times, scored a run, stole a base. Just had some really quality at-bats. And then obviously, the big swing from Gavin Smith in the first inning to give the Blues the lead was quite impressive. We saw how hard he was hitting the ball in batting practice, and we really saw it come to fruition with that swing. Especially, we didn't necessarily expect to even see a home run this whole weekend here at the ballpark, because it's just not an easy place to hit a home run. And, first inning heroics, which ultimately, gave the Blues the lead, and they would keep that for the rest of the game.
Obviously, Gavin is a big name to talk about because of that 3-run home run. But I want to talk about Cam Andrews' night, too. A single in the second inning and a walk in the 8th, too. He was great behind the dish defensively. Obviously, he had a couple of errant throws. But, pitch by pitch, he blocked everything. He kept everything in front. He prevented free 90 feet. And he saw the ball well with that walk, with that single. I'd like to see what he can build from there. Now, uncertain if he'll be in the lineup tomorrow because the Blues do still have Brody Miller, who was a Blue last year and showcased some pretty good skills as well. But I like what I saw at Cam Andrews tonight as well.
I do as well. And then on the pitching side of things, I think all around, Blues did a pretty good job. Viale, little bit of an issue throwing strikes, but when he was throwing strikes, unhittable, untouchable. The 2 runs he gave up were 2 batters who both walked, and then he gave up a double. It was the only loud contact he gave up was that double, but wouldn't have hurt him as much if he hadn't walked those 2 batters. And then I love what I saw to Chase Rogers. I believe he's a 2-week guy. I'll check the roster just to double check. I think he is a 2. Oh no, he's a permanent guy, and I really like what I saw out of him from that sidearm delivery. That sword strikeout, which we'll play for you right now, where to end that inning in that 7th inning, just a beautiful pitch that really destroyed that hitter.
Yeah, look at that, coming from the outside of the zone to the inside of the zone. There was really no chance at catching that one at all, especially with that type of delivery. You saw a bullpen before today's game of Jackson Howell, and that's a guy we expected was going to start tonight. Hometown kid, dad, coach for the Brewers, a Blues legend as well. What did you see in the bullpen today from Jackson Howell?
What I saw, him and Dean were working together. It looked like they were trying to, protect his elbow a little bit, making sure that he wasn't overextending it and putting any extra emphasis on it that isn't necessary. We had a couple questions about him because he was so good for the Blues last season, but then this spring didn't play. He didn't pitch at his college. So I tried to get some answers from him, but he was locked in with Dean on his pen, so left them alone, let them pitch. But he was throwing a lot of fastballs with good arm side run. He threw a couple of sliders, a couple of curveballs. Everything looked good. Just really trying to make sure that it seems fluid is the biggest thing. They were talking a lot about balance. Howell told Dean at one point, this is the most balanced I've ever felt after, a 10, 15-minute bullpen session. So, just trying to really lock in those mechanics, add a couple miles per hour maybe, just make sure that everything looks good. But I think his biggest weapon is not his speed, it's just the run that his pitches have, especially that fastball. Our stats guy Charlie was standing there with me too, and the first thing he noticed was that arm side run on that fastball. So, maybe just trying to add some more break on all of his pitches to really get hitters guessing.
Maybe we could see him tomorrow against the Dodgers. If not, we have a whole weekend of baseball left. A game tomorrow, a game Sunday, and a game on Memorial Monday. But for now, it's a 5-2 victory for San Luis Obispo. They start off the season on the right foot for their 79th year in a row. Nate Mills, Ryan Giacomini, thanks again for joining us on the SLO Blues Streaming Network.